Hello, this is Brian Tracy, and welcome. This program that you're about to hear is for ambitious people who want to get ahead faster. The ideas you're about to learn will save you years of hard work in achieving the goals that are most important to you. If I was only given 5 minutes to speak to you, and I could only convey one thought that would help you to be more successful, I would tell you to write down your goals, make plans to achieve them, and work on your plans every single day. This advice, if you followed it, would be of more help to you than anything else you could ever learn. Many university graduates have told me that this simple concept has been more valuable to them than 4 years of study. This idea has changed my life and the lives of millions of other people. It will change yours as well. Let's begin with Chapter 1, Unlock Your Potential. Your ability to set goals is the master skill of success. Goals unlock your positive mind and release ideas and energy for goal attainment. Without goals, you simply drift and flow on the currents of life. With goals, you fly like an arrow, straight and true to your target. The truth is that you probably have more natural potential than you could use if you lived 100 lifetimes. Whatever you have accomplished up to now is only a small fraction of what is truly possible for you. One of the rules for success is this: it doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. And where you're going is solely determined by yourself and your own thoughts. Perhaps the greatest discovery in human history is the power of your mind to create almost every aspect of your life. Everything you see around you in the man-made world began as a thought or an idea in the mind of a single person before it was translated into reality. Everything in your life started as a thought, a wish, a hope, or a dream, either in your mind or in the mind of someone else. Your thoughts are creative. Your thoughts form and shape your world and everything that happens to you. The great summary statement of all religions, philosophies, metaphysics, psychology, and success is this: you become what you think about most of the time. Your outer world ultimately becomes a reflection of your inner world and mirrors back to you what you think about. Whatever you think about continuously emerges in your reality. Many thousands of successful people have been asked what it is that they think about most of the time. The most common answer given by successful people is that they think about what they want and how to get it most of the time. Unsuccessful, unhappy people think and talk about what they don't want most of the time. They talk about their problems and worries and who is to blame most of the time. But successful people keep their thoughts and conversation on the topics of their most intensely desired goals. They think and talk about what they want most of the time. Imagine this exercise. You take a homing pigeon out of its roost, put it in a cage, cover the cage with a blanket, put the cage in a box covered with the blanket, and then place the box into a closed truck cab. You can then drive 1,000 miles in any direction. If you then open up the truck cab, take out the box, take off the blanket, and let the homing pigeon out of the cage, the homing pigeon will fly up into the air, circle 3 times, and then fly unerringly back to its home roost 1,000 miles away. This is the only creature on Earth that has this incredible cybernetic goal-seeking function, except for man. You have the same goal-achieving ability as the homing pigeon, but with one marvelous addition. When you are absolutely clear about your goal, you don't even have to know where it is or how it is to be achieved. By simply deciding what it is you want, you will begin to move unerringly toward your goal, and your goal will start to move unerringly toward you. At exactly the right time and in exactly the right place, you and the goal will meet. Mark McCormick, in his book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, tells of a Harvard study conducted between 1979 and 1989. In 1979, the graduates of the MBA program at Harvard were asked, Have you set clear written goals for your future and made plans to accomplish them? It turned out that only 3% of the graduates had written goals and plans. 13% had goals, but they were not in writing. Fully 84% had no specific goals at all, aside from getting out of school and enjoying the summer. 10 years later, in 1989, they interviewed the members of that class again. They found that the 13% who had goals, but which were not in writing, were earning, on average, twice as much as the 84% of students who had had no goals at all. But most surprisingly, they found that the 3% of graduates who had clear written goals when they left Harvard were earning, on average, 10 times as much as the other 97% of graduates altogether. The only difference between the groups was the clarity of the goals they had for themselves when they started out. Goals give you a sense of meaning and purpose. Goals give you a sense of direction. As you move towards your goals, you feel happier and stronger. You feel more energized and effective. You feel more confident and competent in yourself and your abilities. Every step you take toward your goals increases your belief that you can set and achieve even bigger goals in the future. Your inborn potential is extraordinary. You have within you right now the ability to achieve almost any goal that you can set for yourself. Your greatest responsibility to yourself is to invest whatever time is required to become absolutely clear about exactly what it is you want and how you can best achieve it. The greater clarity you have regarding your true goals, the more of your potential you will unleash for good in your life. The starting point of all goal attainment is desire. You must develop an intense, burning desire for your goals if you really want to achieve them. It is only when your desire becomes intense enough that you will have the energy and the internal drive to overcome all the obstacles that will arise in your path as you start towards your goals. The great oil billionaire H.L. Hunt was once asked the secret of success. He replied that success required two things, and two things only. First, he said, you must know exactly what it is you want. Most people never make this decision. Second, he said, you must determine the price that you will have to pay to achieve it, and then get busy paying that price. Setting goals, working toward them day by day, and ultimately achieving them is the key to happiness in life. Goal setting is so powerful that the very act of thinking about your goals makes you happy, even before you've taken the first step toward achieving them. To unlock and unleash your full potential, you should make a habit of daily goal setting and achieving for the rest of your life. You should develop a laser-like focus so that you are always thinking and talking about the things you want rather than the things that you don't want. You must resolve from this moment on to be a goal-seeking organism, like a guided missile or a homing pigeon, moving unerringly toward the things that are important to you. Chapter 2. Take charge of your life. When I was 21, I was broke and living in a small one-room apartment in the middle of a very cold winter, working on a construction job during the day. I usually couldn't afford to go out of my apartment in the evenings, where at least it was warm, so I had a lot of time to think. One night, as I sat there at my small kitchen table, I had a great flash of awareness. It changed my life. I suddenly realized that everything that happened to me for the rest of my life was going to be up to me. No one else was ever going to help me. No one was coming to the rescue. I later learned that when you accept complete responsibility for your life, you take the giant step from childhood to adulthood. Sadly enough, most people never do this. I have met countless men and women in their 40s and 50s who are still grumbling and complaining about earlier unhappy experiences, and still blaming their problems on other people and circumstances. And many people are still angry about something that one of their parents did or did not do to or for them 20 or 30 or even 40 years ago. They are trapped in the past and they can't get free. The greatest enemies of success and happiness are negative emotions of all kinds. It is negative emotions that hold you down, tire you out, and take away all your joy in life. It is negative emotions from the beginning of time that have done more harm to individuals and societies than all the plagues of history. One of your most important goals, if you want to be truly happy and successful, is to free yourself from negative emotions. And fortunately, this can be done if you learn how. The negative emotions of fear, self-pity, envy, jealousy, feelings of inferiority, and ultimately anger are mostly caused by 4 factors. The first of the 4 root causes of negative emotions is justification. You can only be negative as long as you can justify to yourself and others that you are entitled to be angry or upset for some reason. This is why angry people are continually explaining and elaborating on the reasons for their negative feelings. However, if you cannot justify your negativity, you can't be angry. For example, a person is laid off from a job due to a change in the economy and declining sales in the company. However, the individual is angry with his boss for this decision and justifies his anger by describing all the reasons why his being laid off was unfair. He can even get himself so incensed that he decides to sue or get even in some way. As long as he continues to justify his negative feelings toward his boss and the company, his negative emotions control him and absorb much of his life and thinking. However, as soon as he says, "Well, I've been laid off. These things happen. It's not personal. People get laid off all the time. I guess I'd better get busy finding a new job," his negative emotions vanish. He becomes calm, clear, and focused on the goal and on the steps he can take to get back into the workforce. As soon as he stops justifying, he becomes a more positive and effective person. The second cause of negative emotions is rationalization. When you rationalize, you attempt to give a socially acceptable explanation for an otherwise socially unacceptable act. You rationalize to explain away or to put a favorable light on something that you have done that you feel bad or unhappy about. You excuse your behavior or actions by creating an explanation that sounds good, even though you know that you were an active agent in whatever occurred. You often create complex ways of putting yourself in the right by explaining that your behavior was really quite acceptable, all things considered. This rationalizing keeps your negative emotions alive. Rationalization and justification always require that you make someone or something else the source or cause of your problem. You cast yourself in the role of the victim, and you make the other person or organization into the oppressor or the bad guy. The third cause of negative emotions is an over-concern or hypersensitivity to the way other people treat you. For some people, their entire self-image is determined by the way other people speak to them, talk to them, or about them, or even look at them. They have little sense of personal value or self-worth apart from the opinions of others. And if those opinions are negative for any reason, real or imagined, the victim immediately experiences anger, embarrassment, shame, feelings of inferiority, and even depression, self-pity, and despair. The fourth cause of negative emotions, and the worst of all, is blaming. When I draw the negative emotions tree in my seminars, I illustrate the trunk of the tree as the propensity to blame other people for our problems. Once you cut down the trunk of the tree, all the fruits of the tree, all the other negative emotions, die immediately. From this point forward, see and think about yourself as the master of your own fate. See yourself as completely in charge of your own life. Refuse to whine and complain about things that happened in the past, which cannot be changed. Instead, orient yourself toward the future and think of what you want and where you're going. Above all, think about your goals. The very act of thinking about your goals makes you positive and purposeful again. There's a large body of psychological literature that revolves around the concept of locus of control theory. In more than 50 years of research, psychologists have determined that your personal locus of control is the determining factor of your happiness or unhappiness in life. And here's why. A person with an internal locus of control is a person who feels that he or she is in complete control of his or her life. This person feels strong, confident, and powerful. He or she is generally optimistic and positive. He or she feels terrific about him or herself and feels very much in charge of his or her destiny. On the other hand, a person with an external locus of control is a person who feels controlled by external factors, by their boss, their bills, their marriage, their childhood problems, and their current situation. They feel out of control, and as a result, they feel weak, angry, fearful, negative, hostile, and disempowered. The good news is that there's a direct relationship between the amount of responsibility you accept and the amount of control you feel. The more you say, "I am responsible," the more of an internal locus of control you develop within yourself, and the more powerful and confident you feel. There's also a direct relationship between responsibility and happiness. The more responsibility you accept, the happier you become. It seems that all three, responsibility, control, and happiness, go together. The more responsibility you accept, the greater amount of control you feel you have. The greater amount of control you feel you have, the happier and more confident you become. When you feel positive and in control of your life, you will set bigger and more challenging goals for yourself. You will also have the drive and determination to achieve them. You will feel as if you hold your whole life in your own hands, and that you could make it into whatever you decide to. The starting point of goal setting, then, is for you to realize that you have virtually unlimited potential to be, have, or do anything you really want in life, if you simply want it badly enough and are willing to work long enough and hard enough to achieve it. The second part of goal setting is for you to accept complete responsibility for your life and for everything that happens to you, with no blaming and no excuses. With these two concepts in mind, that you have unlimited potential and that you are completely responsible, you are now ready to move to the next step, which is to begin designing your ideal future. Chapter 3. Create Your Own Future. In more than 3,300 studies of leaders conducted over the years, there's a special quality that stands out, one quality that all great leaders have in common. It is the quality of vision. Leaders have vision, non-leaders do not. Earlier I said that the most important discovery in all of human history is that you become what you think about most of the time. What is it then that leaders think about most of the time? And the answer is that leaders think about the future and where they are going and what they can do to get there most of the time. We call this leadership quality future orientation. Leaders think about the future and what they want to accomplish and where they want to arrive sometime down the road. Leaders think about what they want and what can be done to achieve it. The good news is that when you begin to think about your future as well, you begin to think like a leader, and you will soon get the same results that leaders get. In personal strategic planning, you should begin with a long-term view of your life as well. You should begin by practicing idealization in everything you do. In the process of idealization, you create a 5-year fantasy for yourself and begin thinking about what your life would look like in 5 years if it were perfect in every respect. The biggest single obstacle to setting goals is self-limiting beliefs. These are areas where you believe yourself to be limited in some way. You may believe yourself to be inadequate or inferior in areas such as intelligence, ability, talent, creativity, personality, or something else. As a result, you sell yourself short. By underestimating yourself, you set either no goals or low goals that are far below what you are truly capable of accomplishing. By combining idealization and future orientation, you cancel or neutralize this process of self-limitation. You imagine for the moment that you have no limitations at all. You imagine that you have all the time, talents, and abilities you could ever require to achieve any goal you could set for yourself. No matter where you are in life, you imagine that you have all the friends, contacts, and relationships you need to open every door and achieve anything you could really want. You imagine that you have no limitations whatsoever on what you could be, have, or do in the pursuit of the goals that are really important to you. When you practice idealization and future orientation, you make no compromises with your dreams and visions for yourself and your future. You don't settle for smaller goals or half successes. Instead, you dream big dreams and project yourself forward mentally as though you are one of the most powerful people in the universe. You create your perfect future. You decide what you really want before you come back to the present moment and deal with what is possible for you within your current situation. So, start with your business and career. Imagine that your work life was perfect 5 years from now. Answer these questions. Number 1, what would it look like? Number 2, if your work life were perfect, what would you be doing? Number 3, where would you be doing it? Number 4, who would you be working with? What level of responsibility would you have? 5, if you were at the top of your field, what kind of skills and abilities would you have? Number 6, what kind of goals would you be accomplishing? And number 7, what level of status would you have in your field if your career was perfect sometime in the future? When you answer these questions, imagine that you have no limits. Imagine that everything is possible for you. Imagine that you have a magic slate. That means you can write down anything you want. You can erase anything that may have happened in the past and create whatever picture you desire for your future. You can clean the slate at any time and start over. You have no limits. When you fantasize and imagine your perfect future, the only question you ask is, how? This is the most powerful question of all. Asking the word how repeatedly stimulates your creativity and triggers ideas to help you accomplish your goals. Unsuccessful people always wonder whether or not a particular goal is possible. High achievers, on the other hand, only ask the question, how? They then set to work to find ways to make their visions and goals into realities. When you have clear, exciting goals and ideals, you will feel happier about yourself and your world. You'll be more positive and optimistic. You'll be more cheerful and enthusiastic. You will feel internally motivated to get up and get going every morning, because every step you're taking will be moving you in the direction of something that is important to you. Resolve to think about your ideal future most of the time. Remember, the very best days of your life lie ahead. The happiest moments you will ever experience are still to come. The highest income you will ever earn is going to materialize in the months and years ahead. The future is going to be better than anything that may have happened in your past. There are no limits. The clearer you can be about your long-term future, the more rapidly you will attract people and circumstances into your life to help make that future a reality. The greater clarity you have about who you are and what you want, the more you will achieve, and the faster you will achieve it in every area of your life. Chapter 4. Clarify your values. One of the most important characteristics of leaders and top people in every area of life is that they know who they are, what they believe in, and what they stand for. Average people are usually confused about their goals, values, and ideals, and as a result, they go back and forth and accomplish very little. Men and women who become leaders, on the other hand, with the same or even fewer abilities and opportunities, go on to accomplish great things in whatever they attempt. Life is lived from the inside out. The very core of your personality is your values. Your values are what make you the person you are. Everything you do on the outside is dictated and determined by your values on the inside, whether clear or fuzzy. The greater clarity you have regarding your values on the inside, the more precise and effective will be your actions on the outside. You can imagine your personality by thinking of a target with concentric rings, from the inside to the outside. Your personality is also made up of 5 rings starting from the center, your values, and radiating outward to the next circle, which is your beliefs. You see, your values determine your beliefs about yourself and the world around you. If you have positive values, such as love, compassion, and generosity, you will believe that people in your world are deserving of these values, and you will treat them accordingly. Your beliefs, in turn, determine the 3rd ring of your personality, your expectations. If you have positive values, you will believe yourself to be a good person. If you believe yourself to be a good person, you will expect good things to happen to you. If you expect good things to happen to you, you will be more positive, cheerful, and future-oriented. You will look for the good in other people and other situations. And surprise, surprise, your expectations will become your realities. The 4th level of your personality, determined by your expectations, is your attitude. Your attitude will be an outward manifestation or reflection of your values, beliefs, and expectations. For example, if your value is that this is a good world to live in, and your belief is that you're going to be very successful in life, you will expect that everything that happens to you is helping you in some way. As a result, you will have a positive mental attitude toward other people, and they will respond positively toward you. You will be a more cheerful and optimistic person. You will be someone that others want to work with, and for, and buy from, and sell to, and generally help to be more successful. This is why a positive mental attitude seems to go hand in hand with great success in every walk of life. The 5th ring, or level of your life, is your actions. Your actions on the outside will ultimately be a reflection of your innermost values, beliefs, and expectations on the inside. This is why what you achieve in life and work will be determined more by what is going on inside of you than by any other factor. You can tell how a person thinks most of the time by looking at the conditions of their outer lives. A positive, optimistic, goal and future-oriented person on the inside will enjoy a happy, successful, and prosperous life on the outside most of the time. You are the very happiest when what you are doing on the outside is congruent with your values on the inside. When you are living in complete alignment with what you consider to be good and right and true, you will automatically feel happy and positive about yourself and your world. Your goals must be congruent with your values, and your values must be congruent with your goals. This is why clarifying your values is often the starting point to high achievement and peak performance. Values clarification requires that you think through what is really important to you in life. You then organize your entire life around these values. Any attempt to live on the outside in a manner that contradicts the values you hold on the inside will cause you stress, negativity, unhappiness, pessimism, and even anger and frustration. So therefore, your chief responsibility to yourself in the creation of a great life is for you to develop absolute clarity about your values in everything you do. Living in alignment with your true values is the royal road to self-confidence, self-respect, and personal pride. In fact, almost every human problem can be resolved by returning to values. Whenever you experience stress of any kind, look into yourself and ask, in what way am I compromising my innermost values in this situation. There are some insightful ways to help you to determine your true values. First of all, you can look at your past. How have you behaved under pressure in the past? What choices did you make with your time or money when you were forced to choose? Your answers will give you an indication of your predominant values at that time. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "Tell me what gives a person his greatest feeling of importance, and I will tell you his entire philosophy of life." What makes you feel important? What raises your self-esteem? What increases your sense of self-respect and personal pride? What have you accomplished in your past life that has given you the greatest sense of pride and satisfaction? These answers will give you good indications of your true values. The spiritual teacher Emmett Fox once wrote about the importance of discovering your heart's desire. What is your heart's desire? What is it that deep down in your heart, more than anything else, you would like to be, have, or do in life? As a friend of mine asked, what do you want to be famous for? What words would you like people to use to describe you when you are not there? What would you like people to say about you when you have passed on? What would you like someone to say about you at your funeral? How do you want your family, friends, and children to remember you? How would you want them to talk about you after you had left this earth? How would you like people to talk to them about you today? What kind of reputation do you have right now? What kind of a reputation would you like to have sometime in the future? And what would you have to begin doing today in order to create the kind of reputation that you desire? Remember, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. If you were an outstanding person in every respect, how would you behave toward others? What sort of impression would you leave on others after you had met them and spoken with them? Imagine you could be a completely excellent person. How would you be different from today? In psychology, your level of self-esteem determines your level of happiness. Self-esteem is defined as how much you like yourself. Your self-esteem, in turn, is determined by your self-image. This is the way you see yourself and think about yourself in your day-to-day interactions with others. Your self-image is shaped by your self-ideal. Your self-ideal is made up of the virtues, values, goals, hopes, dreams, and aspirations that you have for yourself sometime in the future. Here's what psychologists have discovered. The more your behavior in the moment is consistent with what you feel your ideal behavior should be, the more you like and respect yourself, and the happier you are. Your aim should be to deliberately and systematically create the circumstances that raise your self-esteem in everything you do. You should live your life as though you are already the outstanding person that you intend to be sometime in the future. What are your values today with regard to your work and your career? Do you believe in the values of integrity, hard work, dependability, creativity, cooperation, initiative, ambition, and getting along well with other people? People who live these values in their work are vastly more successful and more highly esteemed than people who do not. What are your values with regard to your family? Do you believe in the importance of unconditional love, continuous encouragement and reinforcement, patience, forgiveness, generosity, warmth, and attentiveness? People who practice these values consistently with the important people in their lives are much happier than people who do not. What are your values with regard to money and financial success? Do you believe in the importance of honesty, industry, thrift, frugality, education, excellent performance, quality, persistence? People who practice these values are far more successful in their financial lives than those who do not, and they're far more successful far faster as well. What about your health? Do you believe in the importance of self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control with regard to diet, exercise, and rest? Do you set high standards for your levels of health and fitness and then work every day to live up to those standards? People who practice these values live longer, healthier lives than people who do not. Perhaps the most important value of all is that of integrity. A billionaire once said to me, "Integrity is not so much a value in itself," he said. "It is rather the value that guarantees all the other values." Wow, this was a great insight for me. Once you've decided that you're going to live consistent with a value, your level of integrity determines whether or not you follow through on your commitment. The more you discipline yourself to live consistent with the very best you know, the greater is your level of personal integrity. And the higher your level of integrity, the happier and more powerful you will feel in everything you do. Truly great men and women are always described as having high levels of integrity. They live their lives consistent with their highest values, even when no one is looking. Mediocre men and women, on the other hand, are always cutting corners and compromising their integrity, especially when no one is watching. Decide today to be a man or woman of honor. Resolve to tell the truth and to live in truth with yourself and other people. Crystallize your values in each area of your life. Write them down. Think of how you would behave if you were living consistent with those values, and then refuse to compromise them for any reason. Once you accept complete responsibility for your life and for everything that happens to you, and then create an ideal picture of your perfect future and clarify your values, you are now ready to begin setting clear, specific goals in every area of your life. Chapter 5. Determine your true goals. My favorite word in goal setting and success in general is the word clarity. There is a direct relationship between the level of clarity you have about who you are and what you want and virtually everything else you accomplish in life. Superior men and women invest the time necessary to develop absolute clarity about themselves and what they really want, like designing a detailed blueprint for a building before they begin construction. Average people just throw themselves at life, like a dog chasing a passing car, and wonder why they never seem to catch anything or keep anything worthwhile. Earlier I mentioned that intense, burning desire is absolutely essential to the overcoming of obstacles and the achieving of great goals. For your desire to be intense enough, your goals must be purely personal. They must be goals that you choose for yourself, rather than goals that someone else wants for you, or that you want to achieve to please someone in your life. In goal setting, for the process to be effective, you must be perfectly selfish about what it is that you really, really want for yourself. One of the most important questions in goal setting is this: what do I really want to do with my life? If you could do or be or have anything at all in life, what would it be? Remember, you can't hit a target you can't see. You should return to this question over and over again in the months and years ahead. What do I really want to do with my life? In determining your true goals, you start with your vision, your values, and your ideals. When you begin, these will often feel a bit like fantasies, detached from reality. However, now your job is to make them concrete, like designing a dream house on paper. You start with your general goals and then move to more and more specific goals. For example, ask these questions. Number 1, what are your 3 most important goals in your business and career right now? Number 2, what are your 3 most important financial goals right now? Number 3, what are your 3 most important family or relationship goals right now? And 4, what are your 3 most important health and fitness goals right now? The flip side of the above questions is for you to ask, what are my 3 biggest worries or concerns in life right now? What bothers you, worries you, concerns you, and preoccupies you in your day-to-day life? What aggravates or irritates you? What is robbing you of happiness more than anything else? As a friend of mine often asks, where does it hurt? Once you have identified your biggest problems, worries, or concerns, ask yourself, what are the ideal solutions to each of these problems? How could I eliminate these problems or worries immediately? What is the fastest and most direct way to solve this problem? In 1142, William of Ockham, a British philosopher, proposed a method of problem solving that has come to be referred to as Occam's razor. This way of thinking has become famous and popular throughout the ages. What Occam said was that the simplest and most direct solution, requiring the fewest number of steps, is usually the correct solution to any problem. Many people make the mistake of overcomplicating goals and problems. But the more complicated the solution, the less likely it is ever to be implemented, and the longer the time it will take to get any results. Your aim should be to simplify the solution and go directly to the goal as quickly as possible. For example, many people tell me that they would like to double their incomes. If they are in sales, I ask them, what is the fastest and most direct way to double your income? After they have come up with a series of suggestions, I give them what I consider to be the best answer. Double the amount of time that you spend face-to-face with qualified prospects. The most direct way to increase your sales has always been the same. Spend more time with better prospects. If you don't upgrade your skills or change anything else about what you are doing, but you double the number of minutes that you spend face-to-face with prospects each day, you will probably double your sales income. In setting goals for your life, short and long term, you should continually ask yourself, what do I most enjoy doing in each area of my life? For instance, if you could do just one thing all day long in your work, what would it be? If you could do any job or full-time activity all the time without pay, what would it be? What sort of work or activity gives you the greatest joy and satisfaction? The psychologist Abraham Maslow identified what he called peak experiences, those moments or times when the individual feels the happiest, most elated, and exhilarated. One of your aims in life is to enjoy as many peak experiences as possible. You achieve this by thinking back and identifying those moments of peak experience in your past, and then by imagining how you could repeat them in your present and future. What have been your happiest moments in life up to now? How could you have more of those moments in the future? What do you really love to do? You should have goals for social and community involvement and contribution as well. Think about what kind of a difference you would like to make in your world. What organizations, causes, needs, or social problems would you like to work on or in? What changes would you like to see? Who is there who is less fortunate than you that you would like to help? If you were independently wealthy, what causes would you support? Most of all, what could you do today to begin making a difference in your world? Don't wait until some future date when everything will be ideal. Instead, start today in some way. One of the most important areas of goal setting is your financial life. If you could earn and accumulate all the money you need, you could probably achieve most of your non-financial goals faster and easier than you can today. So, if your life were ideal, how much money would you like to earn each month and each year? How much would you like to save and invest each month and each year? How much would you like to be worth sometime in the future? What sort of estate would you like to accumulate by the time you retire, and when would you like that to be? Most people are hopelessly confused about their financial goals, but when you become absolutely clear about them for yourself, your ability to achieve them increases dramatically. When you are absolutely clear about what you want, you can then think about your goals most of the time, and the more you think about them, the faster they will materialize in your life. The process of asking yourself questions about your goals in each part of your life begins to clarify your thinking and make you a more focused and better defined person. Chapter 6, Analyze Your Beliefs. Perhaps the most important of all mental laws is the law of belief. This law says that whatever you believe with conviction becomes your reality. You do not believe what you see what you already believe. You actually view your world through a lens of beliefs, attitudes, prejudices, and preconceived notions. Dr. William James of Harvard said in 1905, "Belief creates the actual fact." He went on to say that the greatest revolution of my generation is the discovery that individuals, by changing their inner attitudes of mind, can change the outer aspects of their lives. The worst of all beliefs are self-limiting beliefs. If you believe yourself to be limited in some way, whether or not it is true, it becomes true for you. If you believe it, you will act as if you were deficient in that particular area of talent or skill. Overcoming self-limiting beliefs and self-imposed limitations is often the biggest obstacle standing between you and the realization of your full potential. Self-limiting beliefs, sometimes based on a single experience or a casual remark, can hold you back for years. Almost everyone has had the experience of mastering a skill in an area where they thought that they had no ability, and being quite surprised at themselves. Perhaps this has happened to you. You suddenly realize that your limiting ideas about yourself in that area were not based on fact at all. Many people, because of their negative beliefs, most of which are erroneous, falsely consider themselves to be limited in intelligence, talent, capability, creativity, or skill of some kind. In virtually every case, however, these beliefs are false. The fact is that you have more potential than you could ever use in your entire lifetime. The good news about beliefs is that all beliefs are learned. They can therefore be unlearned, especially if they're not helpful. The starting point of unlocking more of your potential is for you to identify your self-limiting beliefs and then ask, what if they were not true at all? What if you were possessed of an extraordinary ability in an area where you didn't think you were very good at all, such as selling, entrepreneurship, public speaking, or money-making? Imagine that there was a belief store, very much like a computer software store, that you could visit and purchase a belief to program into your subconscious mind. If you could choose any set of beliefs at all, which beliefs would be the most helpful to you? Here is my suggestion. Select this belief: I am destined to be a big success in life. If you absolutely believe that you are destined to be a big success, you will walk, talk, and act as if everything that happens to you in life is part of a great plan to make you successful. And as it happens, this is how the top people think in every field. Top people look for the good in every situation. They know that it is always there. No matter how many reversals and setbacks they experience, they expect to get something good out of everything that happens to them. They believe that every setback is part of a great plan that is moving them inexorably toward achieving the great success that is inevitable for them. If your beliefs are positive enough, you will seek the valuable lesson in every setback or difficulty. You will confidently believe that there are many things that you have to learn on the road to achieving and keeping your ultimate success. You therefore look upon every problem as a learning experience. Emmett Fox, the spiritual teacher I mentioned before, once said that your main job in life is to create the mental equivalent within yourself of what you want to realize and enjoy in your outer world. Your focus must be on creating the beliefs within yourself that are consistent with the great success you want to be in your outer world. You achieve this by challenging your self-limiting beliefs, by rejecting them and then acting as if they did not exist. You reinforce the development of new life-enhancing beliefs by increasing your knowledge and skills in your field to the point where you feel equal to any demand or challenge. You accelerate the development of new positive beliefs by setting bigger and more exciting goals in every area. Finally, you act continually as if you are already the person that you desire to be. Your aim is to reprogram your subconscious mind for success by creating the mental equivalent in everything you do or say. Your beliefs are always manifested in your words and actions. Make sure that everything you say and do from now on is consistent with the beliefs that you want to have and the person that you want to become. In time, you will replace more and more of your self-limiting beliefs with life-enhancing beliefs. Over time, you will completely reprogram yourself for success. When this occurs, the transformation that takes place in your outer life will amaze you and all the people around you. Chapter 7. Start at the beginning. Imagine that you were going to take a long trip across the country. The first thing you would do would be to choose your destination and then get a road map to determine the very best way to get there. Each day before you started out, you would locate yourself on a map relative to where you are and where you plan to go in the hours ahead. Life is very much the same. Once you have decided upon your values, vision, mission, purpose, and goals, the next step is for you to analyze your starting point. Exactly where are you today, and how are you doing in each of the important areas of your life, especially as they relate to your goals? Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric for many years, once said that the most important quality of leadership is the reality principle. He defined this as the ability to see the world as it really is, not as you wish it were. He would begin every meeting to discuss a goal or a problem with the question, what's the reality? Abraham Maslow once wrote that the first quality of the self-actualizing person was the ability to be completely honest and objective with himself or herself. It's the same with you. If you want to be the best you can be and to achieve what is truly possible for you, you must be brutally honest with yourself and your point of departure. You must sit down and analyze yourself in detail to decide exactly where you are today in each area. When you begin to plan your long-term future, one of the most valuable exercises you can engage in is called zero-based thinking. In zero-based thinking, you ask this question: knowing what I now know, is there anything that I am doing today that I wouldn't start up again today if I had to do it over, knowing what I now know? No matter who you are or what you are doing, there are certain things in your life that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into again today if you had them to do over. It's difficult, if not impossible, for you to make progress in your life if you allow yourself to be held back by decisions that you have made in the past. If there is something in your life that you wouldn't get into again today, your next question is, how do I get out, and how fast? Apply zero-based thinking to the people in your life, both business and personal. Is there any relationship in your life that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into? Is there any person that you have hired, assigned, or promoted that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't hire back again today? Is there any person that you are working with or for that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get involved with again today? Be perfectly honest with yourself when you ask and answer these questions. Examine every aspect of your work life and career. Is there any job that you have taken on that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into? Is there any part of your business or work that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't start up again? Is there any activity, process, product, service, or expenditure in your business that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't embark upon again today if you had to do it over? After people and work considerations, look at your investments. Is there any investment of time, money, or emotion that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into again today if you had to do it over? If the answer is no, how do you get out, and how fast? Fully 70% of the decisions that you make will turn out to be wrong in the fullness of time. When you made the decision or commitment, it was probably a good idea, based on the circumstances and knowledge of the moment. But now, the situation may have changed, and it is time to zero-base it, based on the way things are today. You can usually tell if you are in a zero-based thinking situation because of the stress that it causes. Whenever you are involved in something that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't get into, you experience ongoing stress, aggravation, irritation, and anger. Sometimes people spend an enormous amount of time trying to make a business or personal relationship succeed. But if you zero-base this relationship, the correct solution is often to get out of the relationship altogether. The only real question is whether or not you have the courage to admit that you were wrong and then take the necessary steps to correct the situation. When you embark on the achievement of any great goal, you should imagine that at any time you could start your career over again. Never allow yourself to feel locked in or trapped by a particular decision from the past. Keep focused on the future. Many people today are walking away from their educations, their businesses, their industries, and their years of experience and getting into something completely new and different. They are honest enough to recognize that there is a limited future in the direction they are going, and they are determined to get into something where the future possibilities are far greater. You must do the same. In doing a baseline assessment of yourself and your life, you must face the facts, whatever they are. As Harold Janine of ITT once said, facts don't lie. Seek out the real facts, not the obvious facts, the apparent facts, the hoped-for facts, or the wished-for facts. The true facts are what you need to make good decisions. Take a hard look at your current company and industry. Take a hard look at your current job situation. Take a hard look at your market relative to your competitors. In reinventing yourself, stand back and think about starting your career over again today, knowing what you now know. Imagine that your job and your industry disappeared overnight. Imagine that you had to make brand new career choices. If you were starting over again today, with your special combination of talents and skills, what would you choose to do that is different from what you are doing now? In mentally starting over, as though you were beginning your career anew, look deeply into yourself as well. What good habits do you have that are helping you and moving you toward your goals? What bad habits have you developed that may be holding you back? What are your very best qualities of character and personality? What are your weakest qualities? What new habits and qualities do you need to develop to get the very most out of yourself, and what is your plan to begin developing them? What bad habits do you need to get rid of and replace with good habits? There's an old saying, well begun is half done. Doctors say, accurate diagnosis is half the cure. Taking the time to honestly evaluate each part of your situation before you launch toward your goal will save you months and even years on your journey. In many cases, it will force you to reevaluate your goals in the light of superior analysis and knowledge. It will dramatically improve the speed at which you achieve your goals once you get going. Chapter 8. Measure your progress. You have incredible mental powers that you habitually fail to use to their full extent. Your conscious mind is the head office of your life. Its role is to deal with the information in your environment and then to identify, analyze, and compare it against other information, and then to decide what actions to take. But it is your subconscious mind that contains the great powers that can enable you to accomplish vastly more than you ever have before. At least 90% or more of your mental powers are below the surface. It is essential that you learn how to tap into these powers to motivate, stimulate, and drive you forward toward the achievement of your goals. Your subconscious mind functions best with clear goals, specific tasks, deliberate measures, and firm deadlines. The more of these with which you program your subconscious computer, the better it functions for you, and the more you will accomplish in a shorter period of time. As you set your goals and begin moving toward them, it is essential that you establish a series of benchmarks or measures that you can use to evaluate your progress day by day and hour by hour. The more clear and specific the measures you set, the more accurate you will be in hitting your targets on schedule. Your subconscious mind requires a forcing system composed of deadlines that you have imposed on yourself for task accomplishment and goal attainment. Without a forcing system, it becomes easy for you to procrastinate and delay, and to put off important tasks until much later, if at all. There are 3 keys to peak performance in achieving your goals. They are commitment, completion, and closure. When you make a firm commitment to achieve a particular goal, and you put aside all excuses, it is very much like stepping on the accelerator of your subconscious mind. You will become more creative, determined, and focused than ever before. Great men and women are those who make clear, unequivocal commitments and then refuse to budge from them no matter what happens. Completion is the second ingredient in peak performance. There is an enormous difference between doing 95% of a task and doing 100% of a task. In fact, it is very common for people to work very hard up to the 90% or 95% level and then to slack off and delay the final completion of the task. This is a temptation that you must fight against. You must continually force yourself, discipline yourself to resist this natural tendency and push through to completion. Every time you complete a task of any kind, your brain releases a small quantity of endorphins. This natural morphine gives you a sense of well-being and elation. It makes you feel happy and peaceful. It stimulates your creativity and improves your personality. It is nature's wonder drug. The more important the task that you complete, the greater is the quantity of endorphin that your brain releases, very much like a reward for success and achievement. Over time, you can actually develop a positive addiction to the feelings of well-being that you receive from this endorphin rush. Even when you complete a small task, you feel happier. When you complete a large task, you feel happier still. When you finish the various steps on the way to the completion of a large task, at every achievement, you get an endorphin rush. You feel continuously happy and exhilarated when you are working toward the completion of an important job. Everyone wants to feel like a winner, and feeling like a winner requires that you win. You get the feeling of the winner by completing a task 100%. When you do this repeatedly, eventually you develop the habit of completing the tasks that you begin. When this habit of task completion locks in, your life will begin to improve in ways that you cannot today imagine. In psychology, the reverse is also true. The incomplete action is a major source of stress and anxiety. In fact, much of the unhappiness that people experience is because they have not been able to discipline themselves to follow through and complete an important task or responsibility. If you've ever had a major assignment that you have been putting off, you know what I'm referring to. The longer you wait to get started on an assignment, and the closer the deadline approaches, the greater stress you experience. It can start to keep you up at night and affect your personality. But when you finally launch into the task and push it through to completion, you feel a great sense of relief and well-being. The third C, after commitment and completion, is closure. This is the difference between an open loop and a closed loop. Bringing closure to an issue in your personal or business life is absolutely essential for you to feel happy and in control of your situation. Lack of closure, unfinished business, and incomplete action of any kind are all major sources of stress, dissatisfaction, and even failure in business. They consume enormous amounts of physical and emotional energy. Perhaps the most important ability in the world of work is dependability. There is nothing that will get you paid more and promoted faster than to develop a reputation for getting your tasks done quickly and well and on schedule. Whatever your goals, make a list of all the tasks that you will have to accomplish in the achievement of those goals. Put a deadline on every one of those tasks. Then, work every day and every hour to hit your deadlines. Measure your progress each day as you go along. Speed up or slow down where necessary. But remember, you can't hit a target that you can't see. The greater clarity that you have with regard to deadlines and measures, the more you will accomplish and the faster you will get it done. A goal or a decision without a deadline is merely a discussion. It has no energy behind it. It is like a bullet with no powder in the cartridge. Unless you establish deadlines to which you are committed, you will end up firing blanks in life and in work. Sometimes people ask, what if I set a deadline and I don't achieve the goal by the deadline? Simple. Set another deadline, and then another if necessary. Deadlines are best guessed estimates of when the task will be completed. The more you set and work toward deadlines, the more accurate you will become in predicting the time necessary to complete them. You will become better and better at achieving your goals and completing your tasks on schedule every single time. In each area of your life, analyze your activities carefully and select a specific number that, more than anything else, determines your level of success in that area. Then, focus all of your attention all day long on that specific number. The very act of focused attention will cause you to perform better in that area, both consciously and unconsciously. If you want to be healthier, you could focus on the number of minutes per week that you exercise, or the number of calories per day that you eat. If you want to be successful financially, you can focus on the amount that you earn each hour, or the amount that you save each month. If you want to be successful in sales, you could focus on the number of calls you make each day, or the number of sales, or the size of each sale that you make each month. If you want to be successful in your relationships, you can focus on the number of minutes that you spend face-to-face with the most important people in your life each day and each week. You've heard the saying, what gets measured gets done. There's another saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Your ability to set specific measures on your goals and then to keep an accurate record and track your performance each day will assure that you achieve your goals exactly when you have decided to, or even before. Chapter 9. Remove the roadblocks. How many times do you think that people try to achieve their new goals before they give up? Well, the average is less than one time. Most people give up before they even make the first try. And the reason they give up is because of all the obstacles, difficulties, problems, and roadblocks that immediately appear as soon as you decide to do something that you've never done before. The fact is that successful people fail far more often than unsuccessful people. Successful people try more things, fall down, pick themselves up, and try again over and over again before they win through. Unsuccessful people try a few things, if they try at all, and very soon quit and go back to what they were doing before. You should expect to fail and fall short many times before you achieve your goals. You should look upon failure and temporary defeat as a part of the price that you pay on your road to the success that you will inevitably achieve. As Henry Ford once said, failure is merely an opportunity to more intelligently begin again. Once you have decided upon your goal, ask yourself, why am I not there already? What is holding you back? Why haven't you achieved that goal up to now? Identify all the obstacles that stand between you and your goal. Write down every single thing that you can think of that might be blocking you or slowing you down from moving ahead. Remember, you become what you think about most of the time. In the area of problems and difficulties, successful people have a particular way of thinking that we call solution orientation. Successful people think about solutions most of the time. Unsuccessful people think about problems and difficulties most of the time. Solution-oriented people are constantly looking for ways to get over, around, and past the obstacles that stand in their ways. Problem-oriented people talk continuously about their problems, about who or what caused them, how unhappy or angry they are, and how unfortunate it is that they have occurred. Solution-oriented people, on the other hand, simply ask the question, how can we solve this? And then they take action to deal with the problem. Between you and anything you want to accomplish, there will always be problems or obstacles of some kind. This is why success is sometimes defined as the ability to solve problems. Personal leadership is the ability to solve problems. Effectiveness is the ability to solve problems. All men and women who accomplish anything of importance are people who have developed the ability to solve the problems that stand between them and their goals. One of the most important breakthroughs in thinking in the last few decades was described by Elihu Goldratt in his book The Goal as the theory of constraints. This theory says that between you and anything you want to accomplish, there is a constraint or limiting factor that determines how fast you get to where you want to go. For example, if you are driving down the freeway and there is traffic construction that is narrowing all the cars into a single lane, this bottleneck or choke point becomes the constraint that determines how fast you get to your destination. The speed at which you pass through this bottleneck will largely determine the speed of your entire journey. In accomplishing any major goal, there's always a constraint or bottleneck that you must get through as well. Your job is to identify it accurately and then to focus all of your energies on alleviating that key constraint. Your ability to remove this roadblock or deal with this limiting factor can help you move ahead faster than perhaps any other step you can take. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of your constraints will be within yourself. Only 20% of your constraints will be outside of yourself, contained in other people and situations. To put it another way, it is you personally who is usually the major roadblock that is setting the speed at which you achieve any goal that you set for yourself. For most people, this is hard to accept, but superior people are more concerned with what is right rather than who is right or being right. Superior people are more concerned with the truth of the situation and what they can do to solve the problem than they are with protecting their egos. Ask yourself, what is it in me that is holding me back? Look deep within yourself and identify the key constraints in your personality, temperament, skills, abilities, habits, education, or experience that might be holding you back from achieving the goals that you have set for yourself. Ask the brutal questions. Be completely honest with yourself. The primary obstacles between you and your goals are usually mental. They are psychological and emotional in character. They are within yourself rather than within the situation around you. And it is with these mental obstacles that you must begin if you want to achieve everything that is possible for you. The two major obstacles to success and achievement are fear and doubt. It is first of all the fears of failure, poverty, loss, embarrassment, or rejection that holds the average person back from trying in the first place. This is why the average number of times that a person tries with a new goal is less than 1. As soon as he or she thinks of the goal, these fears overwhelm him or her and, like a bucket of water on a small fire, extinguishes the desire completely. The second mental obstacle, closely aligned to fear, is that of self-doubt. We doubt our own abilities. We compare ourselves unfavorably to others and think that others are somehow better, smarter, and more competent than we are. We think, I'm not good enough. We feel inadequate and inferior to the challenges of achieving the great goals that we want so much to accomplish. Fortunately, if there's anything good about doubt and fear, it is that they are both learned emotions. Have you ever seen a negative baby? Children come into the world with no doubts or fears at all, and whatever has been learned can be unlearned through practice and repetition. The primary antidotes to doubt and fear are courage and confidence. The higher your level of courage and confidence, the lower will be your levels of fear and doubt, and the less effect these negative emotions will have on your performance and behavior. The way that you develop courage and confidence is with knowledge and skill. Most fear and doubt arises out of ignorance and feelings of inadequacy of some kind. The more you learn the things you need to know to achieve your goals, the less fear you will feel on the one hand, and the more courage and confidence you will feel on the other. Think about learning to drive for the first time. You were probably extremely tense and nervous and made a lot of mistakes. You may have driven erratically and been a danger to yourself and others. But over time, as you mastered the knowledge and skills of driving, you became better and better, and your confidence increased. Today, you can quite comfortably get into your car and drive across the country with no fear or worry at all. You are so competent at driving that you can do it well without even thinking about it. The same principles apply to any skills you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. Once you've made a list of all the obstacles that are standing in the way of your achieving your major goals, organize the obstacles by priority. What is the largest single obstacle? If you could wave a magic wand and remove one major obstacle from your path, which one obstacle, if removed, would help you the most in moving ahead more rapidly? Management consultant Ian Mitroff has an interesting set of observations with regard to problem solving and the removal of obstacles. He says that, whatever the problem, define it in several different ways before you attempt to solve it. Beware of any problem for which there is only one definition or one solution. When you ask the question with regard to your goal, why am I not there already? What answer comes to mind? What is holding you back? What is standing in your way? It is at this point that you have to drill down to determine the correct obstacle before you begin taking steps to remove it. You do this by asking the question, what else could be the problem? After each definition of the problem. In the book, The McKinsey Way, describing the management consulting practices of McKinsey & Company, the authors point out that one of the greatest wastes of time and money is in applying the wrong solution to the wrong problem in the first place. This can apply to your problems and obstacles as well. By identifying the constraints or reasons that you are not achieving your personal income goals, each definition leads to a different set of solutions. They require that you think in different ways. In your personal life, it's the same. The accuracy with which you identify the obstacles or bottlenecks that are holding you back will determine the appropriateness of the various steps that you can take to remove or alleviate those obstacles. Once you have determined the major obstacle that is holding you back, rewrite that obstacle as a positive goal. For example, you could now say, my goal is to continually upgrade my skills and abilities so that I am in the top 10% of money earners in my field. You then make a list of all the things that you could do to upgrade your knowledge and skills, improve your time management, increase your efficiency and effectiveness, and make more sales for your company. You set deadlines and measures next to each step in your strategy to achieve excellence in your field. You then select one key task and take action on it immediately. From then on, you hold your own feet to the fire. You become your own taskmaster. You discipline and drive yourself to do the things that you need to do to become the kind of person that you need to become in order to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. This exercise of identifying what is holding you back and then setting a clear written goal to remove that obstacle puts you back in control of your own life. By following through on your resolution, you virtually guarantee your ultimate success and the achievement of almost any goal you can set for yourself. If you have any questions or concerns about the accuracy of your problem definition, discuss it with someone you know and trust. Put your ego aside. Invite honest feedback and criticism. Be open to the possibility that you have fundamental flaws and weaknesses that are standing in the way of your realizing your full potential. Be brutally honest with yourself. Once your problem or obstacle is clear to you, ideas, opportunities, and answers will come to you from various sources. You will begin to attract into your life all kinds of resources that will help you to overcome the obstacle or difficulty, either within yourself or within the situation around you, and move you more rapidly towards your goal. For every problem or obstacle that is standing between you and what you want to accomplish, there is a solution of some kind somewhere. Your job is to be absolutely clear about what sets the speed at which you achieve your goal, and then to focus your time and attention on alleviating that constraint. By removing your major obstacle, you will often make more progress in a few months than the average person might make in several years. Chapter 10. Become an expert in your field. One of the qualities of top people is that at a certain point in their careers, they decided to commit to excellence. They decided to be the best at what they do. They decided to pay any price, make any sacrifice, and invest any amount of money necessary to become very good in their chosen fields. And as a result of this decision, they pulled away from the pack of average performers and moved themselves upward into the income category where today they earn 3, 4, 5, and even 10 times as much as their peers who have not made this commitment. Everyone who is in the top 10% in their field started in the bottom 10%. Everyone who is doing well today was once doing poorly. And even more importantly, whatever others have done within reason, you can do as well. No one is smarter than you, and no one is better than you. People are just better or smarter in different areas. In addition, all business skills are learnable. People who are doing better in some area of business have learned the essential skills in combination with other skills before you have. If you are not achieving what others are achieving, it simply means that you have not learned those skills yet. You can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. There are no real limits on what you can accomplish except for the limits that you place on your own mind and imagination. If you decide to become excellent, to join the top 10% of people in your field, there is nothing on earth that can stop you from getting there except yourself. Once you have decided to become one of the best people in your field, the only question you ask is, how do I achieve it? The very fact that hundreds of thousands and even millions of people have gone from the bottom to the top in every field is ample proof that you can do it as well. Many of these people, if not most of them, may not even have the natural talents and abilities that you have already. In most areas of life, it is more hard work and dedication than natural ability and talent that leads to excellence and great success. You begin your journey to excellence by asking the question, what additional knowledge, skills, and information will I need to lead my field in the months and years ahead? Project yourself forward 3 to 5 years and imagine that you are already one of the very best and highest paid people in your industry. What would have happened? What would you have to have done, learned, or accomplished to reach this point? What skills would you have had to master to lead your field? Here is the great go-forward question for the rest of your working life. What one skill, if you developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on your career? This becomes your focal point for personal and professional development. Your answer to this question is essential to your achieving excellence in your field. Keep asking yourself, what one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my income and on my future in my current job? If you're at all unsure about the answer to this question, go to your boss and ask him or her. Ask your coworkers. Ask your staff. Ask your spouse and your friends. It's absolutely essential that you find out the answer to this question: what one skill would help you the most? And then focus all of your energies on improving your performance in this particular area. Once you have achieved mastery in your weakest key skill area, you then ask the question again: now what one skill will help me the most? And whatever your answer to that question, you go to work on that skill until you achieve mastery in that area as well. You are born with certain natural skills, abilities, tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, and talents. These emerge in early life and usually crystallize in your late teens. They don't change very much over the course of your lifetime. One of the most important things you do in your career is to identify what it is that you are really good at, or what it is that you can become good at, and then put your whole heart into becoming excellent in that area. Mary Baker Foley, a management consultant in the 1920s, once wrote, "The very best direction to ride a horse is in the direction it is going. The very best way to develop yourself is in the direction of your natural talents and interests." Jim Cathcart, the author and speaker, says, "Nurture your nature." This is extremely important advice that you should follow throughout your career. You are put on this earth with special talents and abilities that make you unique and different from all other people who have ever lived. Throughout your life, you have often found yourself drawn to an area of activity where your special talents and abilities have enabled you to accomplish more and to enjoy what you are doing at a higher level than anything else you could do. One of your great goals in life is to identify and isolate the one or two things that you can do better and enjoy more than anything else, and then concentrate on becoming absolutely excellent in those areas. Michael Jordan, the basketball player, once said, "Everybody has talent, but ability takes hard work." The poet Longfellow once wrote, "The great tragedy of the average man is that he goes to his grave with his music still in him." You could struggle for years at a job for which you were ill-suited, and then find yourself in the perfect field and make more progress in a couple of years than you had made in the 20 years preceding. Most self-made millionaires say, "I never worked a day in my life." What they did was to find out what they really enjoyed, and then they did more and more of it. There are 8 ways for you to identify and determine your special talents and what you are uniquely suited to do. Here they are. First, you will always be the best and happiest at something that you love to do. If you could afford it, you would do it without pay. It brings out the very best in you, and you get a tremendous amount of satisfaction and enjoyment when you are engaged in that particular work. Second, you do it well. You seem to have a natural ability to perform in that area. Third, this talent has been responsible for most of your success and happiness in life up to now. From an early age, it is something that you have enjoyed to do and from which you got the greatest rewards and compliments from other people. Fourth, it is something that it was easy for you to learn and easy to do. In fact, it was so easy to learn that you actually forgot when and how you learned it. You just found yourself doing it easily and well one day. Fifth, it holds your attention. It absorbs you and fascinates you. You like to think about it, read about it, talk about it, and learn about it. It seems to attract you like a moth to a flame. Sixth, you love to learn about it and become better at it all your life. You have a deep inner desire to really excel in this particular area. Seventh, when you do what you're ideally suited to do, time stands still. You can often work in your area of special talent for long periods without eating or sleeping, hour after hour, because you get so involved in it. And eighth, you really admire and respect other people who are good at what you are most suited to do. You want to be like them and to be around them and to emulate them in every way. If the above descriptions apply to anything that you are doing or anything that you have done in the past, they can lead you into what you were uniquely put on this earth to do, to your heart's desire. It is quite common that if you are weak in a particular skill, you will avoid taking action in that skill. You will fall into the trap of learned helplessness. You will say, I'm not really very good in that area, or I don't have any natural talent or ability in that skill. But this is merely rationalization and justification. If the skill is important enough to you, you can learn it. The very worst decision of all is for you to allow yourself to be held back for months or years because you lack a single, simple skill that is readily learnable through dedication and determination. Don't let this happen to you. It is not practice that makes perfect. It is imperfect practice that eventually makes perfect. Whenever you start something new, you can expect to do it poorly. You will feel clumsy and awkward at first. You will feel inadequate and inferior. You will often feel silly and embarrassed. But this is the price that you pay to achieve excellence in your field. You will always have to pay the price of success in advance, and that price often involves the hard work of mastering a difficult skill that you need to move to the top of your field. Imagine that you could wave a magic wand and be absolutely excellent at any particular skill. What would it be? If you could wave a magic wand and have any wish at all with regard to your talents and skills, what would you wish for? Whatever your answer to these questions will often be an indication of the new goals that you have to set with regard to the skills and abilities that you need to develop to be the best at what you do. Become a lifelong do-it-to-yourself project. Be prepared to invest 1, 2, or 3 years to become absolutely excellent in a critical area. Be willing to pay any price, to make any sacrifice to be the best at what you do. The more you practice what you are learning, the faster you will become competent and skilled in that area. The more you practice, the more confidence you will develop. The more you practice, the more rapidly you will overcome your feelings of inadequacy in that skill, and the faster you will master it. The more you practice, the more rapidly you will add that skill to your mental toolbox, where you will possess it for the rest of your career. Resolve today, right now, to join the top 10% of people in your field. Determine who they are, what they earn, and what they do differently from you. Determine the special knowledge and skills that they have developed, and resolve to develop them in yourself. Remember, anything that anyone else has done within reason, you can do as well. No one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. The very fact that the top people in your field were at one time not even in your field at all is proof that whatever they have achieved, you can achieve yourself if you simply set it as a goal and work at it long enough and hard enough. There are no real limits. Chapter 11. Associate with the right people. Everything in life and business is relationships. Everything you accomplish or fail to accomplish will be bound up with other people in some way. Your ability to form the right relationships with the right people at every stage of your life and career will be the critical determinant of your success and achievement, and will have an inordinate impact on how quickly you achieve your goals. The more people you know and who know you in a positive way, the more successful you will be at anything you attempt. One person at the right time and the right place can open a door for you that can change your life and save you years of hard work. A key part of goal setting is for you to identify the people, groups, and organizations whose help you will require to achieve your goals. To accomplish goals of any kind, you will need the help of lots of people. Who are they? There are 3 general categories of people whose help and cooperation you will require in the years ahead. These are the people in and around your business, your family and friends, and people in groups and organizations outside your business or social circle. You need to develop a strategy to work effectively with each group. Start with your business. Who are the most important people in your business life? What is your plan to develop higher quality relationships with them? Make a list of everyone who works inside and outside of your business, your boss, your colleagues, co-workers, subordinates, and especially your customers, suppliers, and vendors. Which of these people have the greatest ability to help you or hurt you in the achievement of your business or career goals? Sometimes I ask my audiences, how many of the people present are in customer service? Only a few hands go up. I then point out that everyone is in the business of customer service, no matter what they call it or what they do. A customer can be defined as anyone who you depend upon for success and advancement in your job or business. A customer can also be defined as anyone who depends on you in any way. By this pair of definitions, almost everyone around you is a customer in some way. For example, your boss is your primary customer at work. Your ability to satisfy your boss will have more of an impact on your future, your income, and your career than any other single action you take. If you displease everyone else but your boss is delighted with you, you will be safe and secure in your job. If you please everyone inside and outside your company, but your boss is unhappy with you, that problem alone can short-circuit your future. Your co-workers who also depend on your work are your customers as well. Go to each one of them and ask them if there's anything that you can do to help them. Ask them if there is anything that you could do more of, less of, start or stop that would help them to do their jobs better. The fact is that people think about themselves and their own jobs all day long. Anytime you offer to help someone do his or her job better or faster, he or she will be wide open to helping you later. You should look for every opportunity in your work to help people and do nice things for other people. Every honest effort you make to help other people will come back to you in some way, at some time, and often when you least expect it. The most popular people in every organization are those who are always willing to lend a helping hand. The more the people next to you, above you, and below you like you and support you, the more you will get paid and the faster you will be promoted. Look for ways to be a valuable resource to the people around you, and they will automatically look for ways to help you and support you when you most need it. Perhaps the most important quality you can develop for long-term success in your business is that of being a good team player. In a multi-year study at Stanford University, researchers found that the ability to function well as part of a team was the most outwardly identifiable quality of a person who was marked for rapid advancement. Team dynamics are very interesting. First of all, 20% of the team members do 80% of the work. The other 80% contribute very little to the meetings and very seldom raise their hands or volunteer for anything. Your job is to be a member of the top 20%. To be a good team player, always come prepared to every meeting. Sit opposite and in direct eye contact with the person who is running the meeting. Speak early and ask questions. Volunteer for assignments. And when you offer to do something, do it quickly and well. You can create a positive, attractive force field of energy around you by developing a reputation for being the person that everyone can depend upon to get the job done. As a result, you will be given more and bigger jobs, and both the authority and the rewards that go along with those jobs. Take time to get to know your subordinates and the people who are below you on the corporate ladder. Talk to them and ask them questions. Offer to help them if you can. Be especially kind and courteous with them. Go out of your way to compliment them and recognize them for their work. You will be amazed at the difference this makes in your career. In every organization, the person who knows the most people is usually the person who rises to the top. Initially, it may seem that relationship building takes a lot of time, but it will pay for itself over and over again in the months and years ahead. Outside of your business, you should get involved with your industry and with your industry associations. The most successful executives and sales professionals network regularly with other business people. They keep expanding their professional contacts and friendships. Look at the business organizations in your community. Select one or two organizations that contain people that it would be helpful for you to know in the years ahead. Attend their meetings and introduce yourself to them. Once you have decided that it would be useful for you to be a member of one of these organizations, join up and begin attending every meeting. There is a rule that says, the more you give of yourself with no expectation of return, the more that will come back to you from the most unexpected sources. No effort that you make to expand your contacts will ever be completely lost. Like seeds, various contacts have different periods of germination. Some will yield results immediately. Some will not yield results for many months or even years. You must be prepared to be patient. Dr. David McClelland of Harvard University did many years of research into the qualities and characteristics of high achievers in our society. What he found was that your choice of a reference group, the people with whom you habitually associate, was more important in determining your success or failure than any other single factor. Get around the right people. Make it a point to associate with the kind of people that you like, admire, respect, and want to be like sometime in the future. Associate with the kind of people that you look up to and would be proud to introduce to your friends and associates. The choice of a positive, goal-oriented reference group can do more to supercharge your career than any other factor. The third category of people whose help and cooperation you will require are your family and friends. As Benjamin Disraeli said, no success in public life can compensate for failure in the home. It is vital that you invest all the time and emotion necessary to build and maintain a high-quality home life. When your family life is solid and secure, characterized by warm, loving relationships, you will do better in everything else in the outer world. But if something goes wrong with your home life because of inattention or neglect, it will soon affect your results at work in a negative way. Problems at home distract your attention and drain your energy. They can often sabotage your career. Once you have decided upon the people, groups, and organizations whose help and cooperation you will need to achieve your goals, resolve to become a relationship expert. Always treat people with kindness, courtesy, and compassion. Practice the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Above all, the simplest strategy is to treat everyone you meet, at home or at work, like a million-dollar customer. Treat the other person as though he or she is the most important person in the world. Treat them as though they were capable of buying $1 million worth of your product or service. Every day, in every way, look for ways to lighten the load and help other people to do their jobs better and live their lives more easily. This will build up a great reservoir of positive feeling toward you that will come back to benefit you year after year. Chapter 12. Make a plan of action. Your ability to set goals and make plans for their accomplishment is the master skill of success. There is no other skill that will help you more in fulfilling your potential, in achieving everything that you are able to accomplish, than developing this skill. Some time ago, Inc. magazine reported on a study they had conducted of 50 startup companies. Half of these companies had spent several months and even more to develop complete business plans before they began operations. The other half of this group had started without detailed business plans and were simply reacting to events as they occurred in the day-to-day operations of the business. 2 to 3 years later, the researchers went back to determine the levels of success and profitability of these companies. What they found was quite interesting. The companies that had started operations with clear, written business plans, carefully thought through and detailed in every respect, were vastly more successful and profitable than those companies that had started spontaneously and had made things up as they went along. The companies that had started on the back of an envelope, where the founders were too busy to sit down and do the detailed work of strategic planning, were almost all floundering. Many of them were already bankrupt and had gone out of business. But here was the interesting discovery. When they interviewed the business founders, they asked them, How often do you refer to your strategic plan in the day-to-day operations of your business? In almost every case, the entrepreneurs and executives running the businesses had not looked at the strategic plan since it had been completed some months ago. Once it was done, they put it in a drawer and seldom revisited it until the following year, when they went through the strategic planning process again. The most important finding was this: the plan itself was seldom referred to, but the process of thinking through the key elements of the business was vital to their success. It is the exercise of working through and discussing every key element of the business plan that is more important than any other step at the beginning. From the first day that you begin actual business operations, the situation will change so rapidly that your plan will become obsolete in many respects within a few days or even a few hours. But it is the process of planning that is most important. Scott McNeely of Sun Microsystems says, "In a startup business, you have to throw out all assumptions every 3 weeks." There is a 6P formula for personal and business success. It is proper prior planning prevents poor performance. There are 7 advantages to proper prior planning. Here they are. First, the planning process forces you to organize your thinking and identify all the key issues that must be dealt with if you are ultimately going to be successful. Second, thinking through what you must do to accomplish your goals enables you to plan your actions carefully before you begin, thereby saving you enormous costs of time, people, and money. Third, a good plan, thoroughly discussed and evaluated, enables you to identify flaws and errors that could prove fatal to your business later on. It enables you to ask what-if questions. For example, what are the worst possible things that could happen if you were to take a particular course of action? The fourth benefit of proper prior planning is that it enables you to identify weaknesses in your plan and to make provisions to compensate for those weaknesses. Fifth, planning enables you to identify strengths and potential opportunities that you can take advantage of to increase the likelihood of success. Often, you will be unaware of your particular strengths or the opportunities that exist in the situation before you go through the planning process. The sixth benefit of planning is that it enables you to focus your time and money and concentrate all of your resources on the 1 or 2 objectives that you must achieve to make the enterprise successful. In the absence of clear focus and concentration, you will tend to spread your energies over a wide area and end up accomplishing very little. The seventh benefit of proper planning is that it will inevitably save you hours, weeks, and months of confusion, mistakes, and losses of both money and energy. In many cases, as the result of careful planning and analysis, the decision makers will realize that it is not possible to achieve a particular goal with the time or resources available, or under the existing circumstances. Sometimes the very best business deals in your career are the ones that you don't get into in the first place. In its simplest form, a plan is a list of every activity that you will have to engage in from the beginning to the end in accomplishing a specific goal or objective. To begin the process of planning, you take a sheet of paper and you make a list of everything that you can think of that you will have to do to achieve your goal. As you think of new items, add them to the list. Continually revisit your list and revise the items and steps as you get more information. This list becomes your blueprint for completing your ideal goal or result. Now, organize your list by priority and sequence. Organize the items on your list by priority by determining which tasks or activities are more important than other tasks or activities. Organize the items from number 1, the most important, all the way through to the least important. Organize your list by sequence as well. In sequencing, you determine which activities need to be done before or after other activities. Often, one task cannot be accomplished until another task has been completed. Sometimes, the accomplishment of a single task can be the bottleneck or choke point in the entire process. Often, the success of the plan will be determined by the achievement of a particular goal or objective within the plan. It may be the completion of construction on a new office, store, or factory. It may be the date of delivery of the first finished product or service. It may be the achievement of a particular level of sales by a specific date. It could be the hiring of a key person for an essential job. The planning process helps you to identify the vital elements of the plan and focus more of your time and attention on the most important tasks and activities that must be accomplished before success is possible. No plan is perfect the first time it is created. Most plans to accomplish something new will fail over and over again at the beginning. This is to be expected. Your ability to accept feedback and make corrections to your plans of activity is vital to your success. Keep asking, what's working and what's not working? Be more concerned with what's right rather than who's right. Remember the old saying, back to the drawing board. Whenever your plan doesn't work, relax, take a deep breath, and revisit your plan. What are the critical results that you must accomplish at each step of the way to achieve your final goal? How can you plan them, prioritize them, and assure that they are completed on schedule? What is your plan if things go wrong? What will you do if it takes much longer and costs much more to achieve your critical objectives on your way to the goal? What is your fallback plan? The good news is that the very act of planning improves and streamlines the entire process of goal achievement. The more often and more carefully you plan before you begin, the better you will get at the planning process overall. The better you get at planning, the more ideas and opportunities you will attract to you to plan and achieve even bigger and better things. Your ability to decide exactly what you want, to write it down, to make a plan, and then execute that plan is the key to personal effectiveness and high achievement. These are all learnable skills that you can master. In no time at all, you can transform your life or business, double your sales or profitability, achieve your goals, and fulfill your true potential. Chapter 13. Manage your time well. To achieve all your goals and become everything you are capable of becoming, you must get your time under control. Psychologists generally agree that a sense of control is the key to the feelings of happiness, confidence, power, and personal well-being, as we've discussed before. And a sense of control is only possible when you practice excellent time management skills. If the front side of the coin of success is the ability to set clear goals for yourself, then the flip side of the same coin is the ability to get yourself organized and working on your most important tasks every minute of every day. Your choices and decisions have combined to create your entire life to this moment. To change or improve your life in any way, you have to make new choices and new decisions that are more in alignment with who you really are and what you really want. The starting point of time management is for you to determine your goals and then to organize your goals by priority and value. You need to be absolutely clear at any given moment exactly what is most important to you at that time. At one moment, your goal could be a business, financial, or career goal. Later, it could be a family or relationship goal. On still another occasion, it could be a health or fitness goal. Time management begins with clarity. You take the time to sit down with a piece of paper and think through exactly what it is you want to accomplish in each area of your life. You decide upon your ultimate long-term goals of financial success, family success, or personal health and fitness. Once you are clear about the targets you are aiming at, you then come back to the present and plan every minute and hour of every day so that you accomplish the very most that you possibly can with the time allocated to you. The basic tool of time management is a list, organized by priority and used as a constant tool for personal management. The fact is that you can't manage time. you can only manage yourself. That is why time management requires self-discipline, self-control, and self-mastery. Time management requires that you make the best choices and decisions necessary to enhance the quality of your life and work, and then you follow through on your decisions. You should plan your life with lists of long-term, medium-term, and short-term goals and projects. You should plan every month in advance with a list of the things you want to accomplish during that month. You should make a list of every step in each multitask job that you want to complete, and then organize that list by priority and sequence. In the process of managing your time, you must separate the urgent from the important. Urgent tasks are tasks that are in your face. They are determined by external pressures and requirements. They are things that you must do immediately. Most people spend most of their days responding and reacting to urgent tasks in the form of telephone calls, interruptions, emergencies, and the demands of your boss and your customers. Important tasks, on the other hand, are those tasks that can contribute the very most to your long-term future. Some of these tasks may be planning, organizing, studying, researching your customers, and setting priorities before you begin. Then there are tasks that are urgent but not important, such as a ringing telephone or a coworker who wants to chat. Because these activities take place during the workday, it's easy to confuse them with real work. The difference, however, is that they produce no results. No matter how many urgent but unimportant activities you engage in, you contribute nothing to your work or your company. The fourth category of tasks includes those that are neither urgent nor important, like reading the paper at work or going for a long lunch. These activities are positively harmful to your career because they consume time that you could be using to get the results for which you are paid and upon which your future depends. The most important word in determining the value of a particular task or activity is the word consequences. A task that is valuable and important is a task that has serious consequences for completion or non-completion. The greater the possible consequences of a task or activity, the more important it is. A task for which there are few, if any, consequences is by definition not particularly important. Your aim in personal management, therefore, is to spend more time doing more of those things that can have the greatest possible consequences on your life and work. Successful, highly paid people are usually no more intelligent or skilled than unsuccessful, lowly paid people. The major difference between them is that successful people are always working on tasks of high value. Unsuccessful people are always killing time on tasks of low value. And you are always free to choose. You are always free to choose what you do more of and what you do less of. Your choices ultimately determine everything that happens to you. The very best question in all of time management is this: what is the most valuable use of my time right now? All techniques and methods of goal setting, personal planning, and time management are aimed at helping you to accurately answer this question every minute of every day. What is the most valuable use of your time right now? When you discipline yourself to ask and answer this question repeatedly, and you are sure that whatever you are doing is the answer to this question, you will start to accomplish 2 and 3 times as much as the people around you. You will become more and more productive. You will plow through more work of higher value and accomplish greater results than anyone around you. Discipline yourself to keep working on the most valuable use of your time, whatever it may be at the moment, and your success is guaranteed. As Goethe said, the things that matter most must never be at the mercy of the things that matter least. Perhaps the best single word in time management is the word no. Just say no to any demand on your time that is not the most valuable use of your time at the moment. The good news is that time management is a skill and a discipline that you can learn with practice. One rule for success is develop good habits and make them your masters. Each time you complete an important task, you will experience a burst of elation, enthusiasm, and heightened self-esteem. You will feel energized and stronger. You will feel happier and more in control of your life. You will feel on top of your work. You will be even more motivated to start in on and complete your next major task. Chapter 14. Review your goals daily. Many techniques can help you to achieve your personal and financial goals faster. In this program, I want to share with you a special method that has taken more people from rags to riches than any other single method ever discovered. It is simple, fast, effective, and guaranteed to work if you will practice it. Earlier, I said you become what you think about most of the time. This is the great truth that underlies all religion, philosophy, psychology, and success. As a teacher of mine, John Boyle, once said, "Whatever you can hold in your mind on a continuing basis, you can have." This is the key. Many people today talk about the importance of positive thinking. Positive thinking is important, but it is not enough. Left undirected and uncontrolled, positive thinking can quickly degenerate into positive wishing and positive hoping. Instead of serving as an energy force for inspiration and higher achievement, positive thinking can become little more than a generally cheerful attitude toward life, and whatever happens to you, positive or negative. To be focused and effective in goal attainment, positive thinking must translate into positive knowing. You must absolutely know and believe in the depths of your being that you are going to be successful at achieving a particular goal. You must proceed completely without doubt. You must be so resolute and determined, so convinced of your ultimate success that nothing can stop you. Everything that you do to program your subconscious mind with this unshakable conviction of success will help you achieve your goals faster. This method I'm going to share with you can actually multiply your talents and abilities and greatly increase the speed at which you move from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. One of the most important mental laws is, whatever is impressed is expressed. Whatever you impress deeply into your subconscious mind will eventually be expressed in your external world. Your aim in mental programming is to impress your goals deeply into your subconscious mind so that they lock in and take on a power of their own. This method helps you to do that. For many years I worked away at my goals, writing them down once or twice a year and then reviewing them whenever I got a chance. Even this was enough to make an incredible difference in my life. Often I would write down a list of goals for myself in January for the coming year. In December of that year I would review my list and find that most of the goals had been accomplished, including some of the biggest and most unbelievable goals on the list. I then learned the technique that changed my life. I discovered that if it is powerful for you to write down your goals once a year, it is even more powerful for you to write down your goals more often. Some authors suggest that you write down and review your goals once a month, others once a week. What I learned was the power of writing and rewriting your goals every single day. Here's the technique. Get a spiral notebook that you keep with you at all times. Each day, open up your notebook and write down a list of your 10 to 15 most important goals without referring to your previous list. Do this every day, day after day. As you do this, several remarkable things will happen. The first day you write down your list of goals, you'll have to give it some thought and reflection. Most people have never made a list of their 10 top goals in their entire lives. The second day you write out your list without reference to your previous list, it will be easier. However, your 10 to 15 goals will change, both in description and order of priority. Sometimes a goal that you wrote one day will not appear the next day. It may even be forgotten and never reappear again. Or it may reappear later at a more appropriate time. Each day that you write down your list of 10 to 15 goals, your definitions will become clearer and sharper. You will eventually find yourself writing down the same words every day. Your order of priority will also change as your life changes around you. But over time, After about 30 days, you will find yourself writing and rewriting the same goals almost every day. You will get far greater and faster results than those enjoyed by people who write their goals down only one time. Your results will double and triple and increase 5 and 10 times as you use the same power of goal setting that we have discussed earlier. But now you'll be writing your goals down every single day. There are some special rules that you must follow to get the most out of this exercise. First, you must use the 3P formula. Your goals must be written and described in the positive, present, and personal tenses. Your goals must be stated positively. Instead of saying, I will quit smoking or I will lose a certain number of pounds of weight, you would say, I am a non-smoker, or I weigh X number of pounds. Your command must be positive because your subconscious mind cannot process a negative command. It is only receptive to a positive, present tense statement. Your subconscious mind is only activated by affirmative statements phrased in the present tense. You therefore use the present tense as well. You write down your goals as though you have already accomplished them. Instead of saying, I will earn $50,000 in the next 12 months, you would say, I earn $50,000 per year. The third P stands for personal. From now on and for the rest of your life, write out every goal beginning with the word I, followed by a verb of some kind. You are the only person in the universe who can use the word I in relation to yourself. When your subconscious mind receives a command that begins with the word I, it is as though the factory floor receives a production order from the head office. It goes to work immediately to bring the goal into your reality. For example, you would not say, my goal is to earn $50,000 per year. Instead, you would say, I earn $50,000 per year. Begin each of your goals with phrases such as, I earn, I weigh, I achieve, I win, I drive such and such a car, I live in such and such a home, I climb such and such a mountain, and so on. To add power to your daily written goals, put a deadline at the end of each goal. For example, you might write, I earn an average of $5,000 per month by December 31st, followed by the particular year. Your mind loves deadlines and thrives on a forcing system. Even if you do not know how the goal is to be achieved, always give yourself a firm deadline. Remember, you can always change the deadline with new information, but be sure you have a deadline, like an exclamation point after every goal. When you begin writing your goals, you may have no idea how they will be accomplished, but this is not important. All that matters is that you write and rewrite them every day in complete faith, knowing that every single time you write them down, you are impressing them deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind. At a certain point, you will begin to believe with absolute conviction that your goal is achievable. Once your subconscious mind accepts your goals as commands from your conscious mind, it will start to make all your words and actions fit a pattern consistent with those goals. Your subconscious mind will start attracting into your life people and circumstances who can help you to achieve your goal. Your subconscious mind works 24 hours a day, like a massive computer that is never turned off, to help bring your goals into your reality. Almost without your doing anything, your goals will begin to materialize in your life, sometimes in the most remarkable and unexpected ways. Whenever you write down a new goal of any kind, you may be skeptical and doubtful about the likelihood of accomplishing it. You may have the idea in your conscious mind, but you will not yet have developed the total belief and conviction that it is possible for you. This is normal and natural. Just don't let it stop you from using this method every day. All that is required to make this method work for you is to get a spiral notebook and then to discipline yourself each day to write down your 10 goals in the positive, present, personal tense. That's all you need. In a week, a month, or a year, you will look around you and see that your whole life will have transformed in the most remarkable ways. You can multiply the effectiveness of this method with a couple of additional techniques. First, after you have written down your goal in the positive, personal, present tense, write down at least 3 actions that you could take immediately to achieve that goal, also in the present positive personal tense, in your spiral notebook. For example, your goal could be to earn a certain amount of money. You could write, I earn $50,000 over the next 12 months. You could then write immediately underneath, 1. I plan every day in advance. 2. I start in immediately on my most important tasks. 3. I concentrate single-mindedly on my most important task until it is complete. Whatever your goal, you can easily think of 3 action steps that you can take immediately to achieve that goal. When you write down the action steps, you program them into your subconscious mind along with the goal. At a certain point, you will find yourself actually taking the steps that you wrote down, sometimes without even thinking about it. And each step you take will move you more rapidly toward your ultimate objective. There are 2 times of the day that are ideal for writing and rewriting your goals. These are the last thing in the evening before you go to bed and the first thing in the morning before you start off. When you rewrite and review your goals in the evening, you program them into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind then has an opportunity to work on your goals all night long while you are sleeping. You will often arise with wonderful ideas for things to do or people to call to help you to achieve your goals. When you rewrite and review your goals in the morning before you start off, you set yourself up for positive thinking and positive acting all day long. Just as physical exercise in the morning warms up your physical body and muscles, reviewing your goals in the morning warms up your mind and prepares you to be at your best throughout the day. The sum total result of rewriting and reviewing your goals each day, morning and evening, is that you will impress them ever more deeply into your subconscious mind. You will gradually move from positive thinking to positive knowing. You will develop a deep and unshakable conviction that your goals are attainable and that it is only a matter of time before you achieve them. And you will be right. Chapter 15. Visualize your goals continually. You possess and have available to you virtually unlimited mental powers. The average person is unaware of these powers and fails to use them for goal attainment. That is why his or her results are only average. But when you begin to tap into and unleash the power of your subconscious mind, you will often achieve more in a year or 2 than the average person achieves in a lifetime. You will start moving more rapidly toward your goals than you can currently imagine. Your ability to visualize is perhaps the most powerful faculty that you possess. All improvement in your life begins with an improvement in your mental pictures. You are where you are and what you are today largely because of the mental pictures that you hold in your conscious mind at the present time. As you change your mental pictures on the inside, your world on the outside will begin to change to correspond to those pictures. You have been using the power of visualization continuously throughout your life. But the problem is that most people use visualization in a random and haphazard way, sometimes to help themselves and sometimes to hurt themselves. Your goal should be to take complete control of the visualization process and be sure that your mind and mental images are focused continually on the things that you want to have and the person that you want to be. In essence, you control the molding and shaping of your own personality and character by the mental images that you dwell upon hour by hour and minute by minute. By changing your mental images, you change the way you think, feel, and act. You change the way that you treat other people and the way they respond to you. You change your performance and your results. You can actually remake yourself in the image of the very best person that you can imagine yourself becoming. This is all part of the constructive use of visualization. In professional athletics, there's a training method called mental rehearsal. Top athletes in every field today mentally rehearse their events before they go into active competition. They see themselves performing at their best prior to every event. For many days and hours prior to a major competition, they practice visualizing themselves performing over and over again. Figure skaters, for example, will play the music to their skating routines over and over again while they sit, deeply relaxed, eyes closed, imagining themselves skating on the ice. One of the benefits of skating in their minds is that they never fall or make a mistake during this process of mental preparation. They see themselves skating their routines perfectly, over and over again, before they actually go onto the ice. By this time, their subconscious minds have been trained to take them through their routines smoothly and gracefully. Your physical body has no mind of its own. The slightest movement of your fingers or toes is controlled by your central computer, your brain. It is your mind that sends impulses of nerve energy down your spine and throughout your body to your muscles to coordinate your physical activities. When you visualize, you actually train your master computer. You program your mind with the performance that you want your body to carry out. There are 4 parts of visualization that you can learn and practice to assure that you use this incredible power to its best advantage all the days of your life. The first aspect of visualization is frequency. Frequency refers to the number of times that you visualize a particular goal as achieved, or yourself performing in an excellent way in a particular event or circumstance. The more frequently you repeat a clear mental picture of your very best performance or result, the more rapidly it will be accepted by your subconscious mind, and the more readily it will appear as part of your reality. The second element of visualization is the duration of the mental image. Duration refers to the length of time that you can hold the picture in your mind each time you replay it. When you deeply relax, you can often hold a mental picture of yourself performing at your best for several seconds, and even several minutes. The longer you can hold your mental picture, the more deeply it will be impressed into your subconscious mind, and the more rapidly it will express itself in your subsequent performance. The third element of visualization is vividness. There is a direct relationship between how clearly you can see your desired goal or result in your mind and how quickly it comes into your reality. When you set a new goal for yourself, your image or picture of this goal will usually be vague and fuzzy. You may have no idea at all what the successful goal will look like. But the more often you write it, review it, and repeat it mentally, the clearer it becomes for you. At a certain point, it will become crystal clear. At that point, the goal will suddenly appear in your world exactly as you imagined it. The fourth element of visualization is intensity. The intensity of a visualization refers to the amount of emotion that you attach to your visual image. In reality, this is the most important and powerful part of the visualization process. Sometimes, if your emotion is intense enough and your visual image is clear enough, your goal will come true immediately. Of course, the elements of frequency, duration, vividness, and intensity can help you or hurt you. Nature is neutral. The power of visualization is neutral as well. It is like a two-edged sword. It can cut in either direction. It can either make you a success or make you a failure. Visualization brings you whatever you vividly and intensely imagine, whether good or bad. For example, worry is a form of negative goal setting. It is the process of thinking about, imagining, and visualizing, combined with feelings of fear and anxiety, exactly those things that you don't want to happen. But, because visualization is neutral, when you worry, you are using this power in a negative way. Exactly those things that you don't want will be attracted into your life. In every area of your life, you can use visualization to make it better. Earlier in this book, I talked about the use of idealization. This process involves creating an ideal picture of what you would like your life to look like sometime in the future. Idealizing is just another version of visualizing. Remember, you can't hit a target that you can't see. But If you're absolutely clear about what you want, you will eventually achieve it sooner or later. As with goal setting, the two best times to visualize are late in the evening or early in the morning. When you visualize your goals as if they already existed before you go to sleep, your subconscious mind accepts them at a deeper and deeper level. It then adjusts your words and actions during the day so that you do and say more and more of those things that will make your goals into realities. Another time to visualize is first thing in the morning, before you start out. Clear mental images of what you want to accomplish during the day will make it far more likely that you achieve those results exactly as you imagined and on schedule. All improvement in your life starts with an improvement in your mental pictures. Start today to flood your mind with pictures of the person you want to be, the life you want to live, and the goals you want to achieve. Cut out pictures from magazines and newspapers that are consistent with your goals and desires. Post them everywhere. Review them regularly. Discuss them often. Imagine them continually. Make your life an ongoing process of positive visualization, continually imagining and visioneering your ideal goals and your perfect future. This can do more to help you step on the accelerator of your own potential than any other exercise you engage in. Chapter 16. Activate your superconscious mind. All important breakthroughs in all fields throughout history have been the result of superconscious functioning. Whenever you have suddenly originated a great idea or insight that solved a problem or resolved a dilemma, you have had a superconscious experience. Great scientific breakthroughs, like the discovery of DNA, or the breakthrough idea combining ceramics with electricity that led to the discovery of superconductivity, were superconscious in origin. The great musicians tapped into and used their superconscious minds repeatedly in the creation of their compositions. Mozart, for example, could see an entire opera in his mind, note perfect, before he began writing. He would then transcribe the opera from his mental picture without a single mistake the very first time. It could then be played in public without revision. Nothing like this had ever been seen or experienced in all the history of music. Any thought, plan, goal, or idea held continuously in the conscious mind must inevitably be brought into reality by the superconscious mind. Your superconscious mind operates best when you are in a mental state of calm, confident, relaxed expectation. Whenever you practice relaxation and solitude, completely letting go of all your cares and sit quietly or commune with nature, your superconscious mind begins to function. Whenever you go into the silence and listen to the still, small voice within you, you begin to hear the whisperings of your superconscious mind. Your intuition is your connection and your contact with the superconscious mind. Sometimes your intuition will speak to you so loudly in the silence that the idea or insight it brings you will change your entire life. The superconscious mind explains two phenomena that you experience regularly throughout your life: serendipity and synchronicity. The more you use your superconscious mind, the more often you will enjoy these two wonderful experiences. Serendipity is the process of making happy discoveries along the road of life. Whenever you have a clear goal that you visualize continually and that you are working toward each day, happy, unexpected events and experiences seem to occur in your life, each of which seems to help you to achieve your goals even faster. You might come across an article in a magazine, or someone mention something to you that you didn't know before. You might even flip to a program on television that has exactly the idea or insight that you need to solve a particular problem or answer a key question. You will often have a setback or temporary failure that turns out to be exactly the right thing to happen to you at that moment. The interesting point is that if you look for something good in every situation, you will always seem to find it. The very attitude of expecting good things to happen to you seems to trigger their occurrence over and over again. If you calmly and confidently believe in the magic of serendipity, no matter what happens, you will have repeated serendipitous experiences that will help you to achieve your real goals in life. The second phenomenon that you will experience regularly is called synchronicity. This is different from the law of cause and effect, the iron law of the universe, in a special way. The law of cause and effect says that everything happens for a specific reason, and that there is a traceable cause for every effect. With synchronicity, however, the only relationship between two events that occur simultaneously is the meaning that you give to them by the goals that you have in different areas of your life. Here's an example. You set a goal to double your income, but the following week you either quit or get fired completely unexpectedly. This initially looks like a real setback, but the next day in conversation, a friend asks you if you've ever thought of working in a particular field. As it happened, you'd read several articles about that field over the past year, and you'd thought about getting into it, but you didn't know how to go about it. You decide to investigate further, you identify a growing company, interview for a job, start work, and 1 year later, you find yourself earning twice as much as you were at your previous job and enjoying it more. Now you'll notice that there was no direct cause and effect relationship between these separate events. They seemed to be disconnected in time and space, but they had one thing in common. They helped you to achieve the real goal that you had set for yourself, which was to double your income. You must be open to the possibility of this happening all the time. 2 ways for you to stimulate your superconscious mind into action. The first is for you to concentrate and work intensely on achieving your goal. Throw your whole heart into what you are doing. Think about it. Talk about it. Write it down, rewrite it, and review it every single day. Do everything that you possibly can to think of that can help you to attain that goal. When you dedicate yourself to continuous, determined forward action toward the accomplishment of your goal, all sorts of serendipitous and synchronous events will happen to you and for you. People will emerge from unexpected places to help you. You will receive phone calls and offers of assistance. You will come across ideas and information that you would not have recognized before. You will have ideas and insights that move you even faster toward your goal. The second way to stimulate your superconscious mind is for you to relax completely and get your mind busy elsewhere. For example, when you go on vacation, you often become so busy doing other things that you don't think about your goals or problems at all. It seems that the more you can completely relax and let go, both mentally and physically, the more rapidly your superconscious mind will click into action and begin giving you the ideas and insights that you need. It seems that the harder that you don't try, the faster your superconscious mind will work for you. You should try both methods on every goal. First, work with single-minded concentration on the goal. Commit 100% of your energies to solving the problem. Then, if you have still not experienced the breakthrough you desire, get your mind busy elsewhere. Take some time off. Go on vacation. Engage in physical exercise or go to a movie. Forget about it completely for a while. Then, at exactly the right time, your superconscious mind will function and the answer will appear. Your superconscious mind is the most powerful faculty that you have. It is available and accessible to you at all times. You dial in to your superconscious mind by being absolutely clear about what you want, and then by calmly and confidently trusting that exactly the answer you need will come to you at exactly the time you are ready for it. The more you relax and trust in this great power, the better and faster it will function. It's been said that men and women begin to become great when they begin to listen to their inner voices. When you make a regular habit of listening to your intuition and trusting your inner voice, you will probably never make another mistake. By tapping into your superconscious mind, you begin to bring your whole life into harmony with this great universal power. You will achieve goal after goal and move forward faster and faster in everything you do. You will feel as though you are plugged into some kind of cosmic energy source that enables you to accomplish vastly more and with much less effort than ever before. Chapter 17. Remain flexible at all times. Today, perhaps the most important factor affecting your life is the speed of change. By its very nature, change is unpredictable, often forcing us to scrap our very best plans and ideas overnight as a result of a completely new and unexpected development coming from a new and unexpected direction. As a result, we have to remain flexible in our thinking and in our possible courses of action. Change causes enormous stress for people who are fixed or rigid in their beliefs about how things should be. They fall in love with what they are doing, with their current methods and processes, and are unwilling to change even in the face of overwhelming evidence that it's now necessary. Don't let this happen to you. The only real question you should be asking about what you are doing is, does it work? Is it achieving the end results desired? Based on the current situation, is this the best course of action? The only measure of the rightness or wrongness of a particular decision or course of action is its effectiveness in accomplishing the result desired, or in achieving the goal that you have set. Keep asking, does it work? To remain flexible, you must be constantly open, alert to new ideas, information, and knowledge that can help you or hurt you in your business or in the achievement of your goals. One new idea can be enough to make or lose you a fortune. One idea can start you on the road to riches or knock you off it. One piece of information at the right time can save you enormous amounts of time, trouble, and money. Lack of that information can cost you a fortune. Don't let your ego cloud your judgment or your common sense. Be more concerned with what's right rather than who's right. You must be open to the fact that most of your decisions will turn out to be wrong in the fullness of time. Be prepared to be flexible, especially in the face of new information, technology, or competition. There are 3 statements that you can learn to say over and over to remain flexible in turbulent times. Here they are. The first is, I was wrong. Most people would rather bluff, bluster, and deny rather than to admit that they were wrong. What makes the refusal to admit that you are wrong even worse is when everyone around you already knows that you are wrong. You are the only one who is fooling anyone, and that one person you are attempting to fool is yourself. When you realize that you are wrong, the smartest thing you can do is to admit it quickly, solve the problem, and get on with achieving the goal or result in a different way. It's been estimated that as much as 80% of the time and energy of the key people in large companies and organizations is devoted to covering up the fact that they are wrong and they don't want to admit it. Many companies, small and large, have actually gone bankrupt because of a refusal or failure to admit an obvious mistake. The second statement that you must learn to say to remain flexible is, I made a mistake. It is absolutely amazing how much time, energy, and money is wasted because someone's ego is so large that they will not admit that they have made a mistake, even one that is obvious to everyone around them. Once you say the words, I was wrong, or I made a mistake, the issue is largely over. From then on, everybody can get on with resolving the problem or achieving the goal. But as long as a key person is unwilling to admit that he or she has taken the wrong course, everything comes to a stop. The third statement you should learn to say quickly and easily is, I changed my mind. If you get new information that contradicts the information upon which you made a previous decision, be prepared to admit candidly that, I changed my mind. It's not a weakness or a character flaw to be wrong, to make a mistake, or to change your mind. In fact, In a time of rapid change in the areas of knowledge, technology, and competition, it's a mark of courage, character, and flexibility to be willing to cut your losses quickly and practice the reality principle in everything you do. Be willing to deal with the world as it is rather than the way you wish it were or the way that it might have been in the past. Face the truth, whatever it is. Be honest with yourself and everyone around you. Always be open to re-evaluating your goals and objectives in the light of new information, technology, or competition. Based on what you now know, is this the best course of action? If it is not, what else should you do? What else could you do? If it is a goal, and the circumstances under which you made the goal have changed dramatically, be sure that you still want the goal badly enough to struggle and sacrifice for it. Be willing to drop it and set a new goal if you've changed your mind, or if the goal is no longer as important to you today as it once was. In a time of rapid change, resolve to be the first to recognize and embrace change when it occurs. Expect it as part of the normal and natural course of events. Refuse to be surprised or upset when things do not work out the way you thought they would or should. Especially, be flexible with the important people in your life, your family, your friends, your co-workers, and your customers. Be open to differing points of view and different ideas. Be continually willing to admit that you could be wrong, because you often are. One of the characteristics of the best leaders is that they are good listeners. They ask a lot of questions, and they take in all the information possible before making up their minds or coming to a final conclusion. They also admit failure and cut their losses quickly when they make a mistake so that they can move on to bigger and better things. When you set a new goal for yourself, you will have a general idea of the steps you should take and the direction you should pursue. But almost inevitably, as you start off, you will run into unexpected roadblocks that make it impossible to continue in that direction. However, by some miracle, just as you reach a wall, another door of opportunity will open up along the corridor to success. Because you are flexible, you will quickly take advantage of the new opportunity and begin moving in that direction, developing that new product or service, selling into that new market or customer base. And as you move down this new corridor, you will run into another obstacle or roadblock that might again block your progress. Just as you hit this new wall or obstruction, however, another opportunity will open up for you and take you down a different corridor toward your goal. This may happen several times with several false starts. In almost every case, you will achieve your greatest success in an area very different from what you initially thought when you started out. You will achieve your greatest business and personal successes doing things that are very different from what you had initially planned. The key is to remain flexible. Here's the most important rule of flexibility. Be clear about your goal, but be flexible about the process of achieving it. Always be open to the influence of your superconscious mind. Remain sensitive to the possibility of serendipitous and synchronous events. Be open to ideas, inspirations, and inputs from other people. Chapter 18. Unlock your inborn creativity. Fully 95% of children tested between the ages of 3 and 5 test out as highly creative. The same children tested again as teenagers test out at about 5% highly creative. What happened to them in the interim? Well, as they went through school, they were taught that if you want to get along, you go along. They learned not to challenge the teacher or suggest unusual ideas. In their attempts to be liked and accepted by their peers, they allowed their creativity to die down, like a fire without fuel. The good news is that creativity is a natural and normal ability possessed in quantity by virtually everyone. But your creativity is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. Just like a muscle, if you do not exercise your creativity and stretch it regularly, it becomes weak and ineffective. Your ability to generate ideas must be constantly utilized to be kept in top condition. The most powerful technique for improving your intelligence and increasing your creativity is what I call mindstorming. The way it works is simple. The results that you get will be so amazing as to be life-changing. You begin the mindstorming process by first getting a clean sheet of paper. At the top of this page, you write your goal or problem in the form of a question. The simpler and more specific the question, the better will be the quality of the answers that you generate in response to it. For example, instead of writing a question like, "How could I make more money?" you would write, "How can I double my income in the next 24 months?" Even better, if you are earning $50,000 per year today, your question should be, "How can I earn $100,000 per year by December 31st of a specific year?" Each of your answers should be written using the 3P formula. It should be personal, positive, and in the present tense. In other words, your answers should be written as affirmations or instructions from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. Once you have written your question at the top of the page, you then discipline yourself to generate at least 20 answers to that question. You can write down more than 20 answers to the question, but it is essential in this exercise that you set a goal for a minimum of 20. Your first 3 to 5 answers will be easy. You will quickly come up with answers like work harder, start earlier, stay later, work on higher value tasks. Your next 5 answers will be more difficult. You will have to drill down and dig deeper to come up with less obvious ways but more creative ways to answer your question. Your last 10 answers will be the most difficult of all. Many people find this part of the exercise so difficult that their minds go blank. Their eyes glaze over. They become lightheaded with a rush of blood to their brains that takes place when you begin this process of pumping mental iron. However, no matter how long it takes, especially the first few times you practice this exercise, you must discipline yourself to keep writing until you have at least 20 answers. Sometimes the 20th answer that you generate will be the breakthrough answer that enables you to save yourself thousands of dollars and many hours of hard work. Often, your last answer is the inspired idea that changes your whole life and career. Once you have 20 answers, go back over your list and review your answers. Then, select at least one action that you can take immediately to begin moving yourself more rapidly toward your goal or toward solving the problem. You can multiply the effectiveness of this process by taking the very best answer that you identified in the first list of 20 and writing it at the top of a fresh sheet of paper in the form of a question. Then, see if you cannot generate 20 answers to that question as well. This combination exercise will rev you up mentally, like stepping on the accelerator of a car while the transmission is in neutral. Your mind will sparkle and dance with mental energy and bristle with ideas like the bright lights of a Christmas tree. For example, your first question could be, how can I double my income to $100,000 over the next 24 months? One of your answers could be, I work 2 extra hours each day. You could then transfer this answer to a new sheet of paper and phrase it as a question. What can I do to get 2 extra hours of productive time each day? You can then begin writing 20 different things that you can do to save time, gain time, and spend 2 additional hours on productive work each day. Whatever answer you choose, put it into action immediately. Do something, do anything. The faster you take action on this exercise, the greater and more continuous will be the flow of ideas as you go throughout the day. If you generate these ideas and then do nothing with them, the creative flow will slow down and stop. The very best time to do this exercise is first thing in the morning, right after you have rewritten your goals in your spiral notebook. Each morning, you can take one goal, rewrite it as a question, and then generate 20 answers to that question. You can then immediately get busy and implement one of your answers. You can perform this exercise repeatedly on the same goal, if the goal is big enough and important enough to you. Don't worry about writing down the same answers over and over again. The more you practice this exercise, the more likely it is that you will trigger completely unexpected breakthrough ideas. This may require several days or even weeks of work before the flash of inspiration takes place. You must be patient and determined. It will come. As I mentioned before, successful people are intensely solution-oriented. The fact is that life is a continuous succession of problems and difficulties without end. This river of problems is only interrupted by the occasional crisis, which makes the problem seem small in comparison, at least for a little while. In fact, if you are living a busy life, you will probably experience a crisis of some kind every 2 to 3 months throughout your life. You will have business crises, family crises, financial crises, health crises, and other crises. The problems and crises never stop. They keep coming like the waves of the ocean. The only thing you can control is your responses to these problems and crises, and therein lies the key to your success. Successful people respond effectively to problems. Ineffective people do not. Successful people take a deep breath, relax, and think clearly. They look for the good in every situation. They seek the valuable lesson. Above all, they focus on the solution, on what can be done, rather than what has happened and who is to blame. Just as there is a process for solving mathematical problems, there is a process for solving business and life problems as well. It requires that you approach the business of problem-solving systematically and in an organized fashion. Here are the steps that you can follow. Step 1. Define the problem clearly. A problem properly defined is half solved. It is absolutely amazing how much time is wasted floundering around looking for a solution when no one is quite clear about the problem. Step 2. Ask, what are all the possible causes of this problem? Look for both the obvious and the not-so-obvious causes of the problem. How did it begin? What are its origins? What triggered it in the first place? What is the critical variable that changed to cause the problem to happen in the first place? What assumptions were made that led to the problem? Step 3. Ask, what are all the possible solutions? Avoid the natural tendency of most human beings to leap from a problem definition to a conclusion regarding a solution of some kind. Always ask, what else is the solution? Sometimes the best solution is to do nothing at all. Sometimes the best solution is to gather more information. Sometimes the best solution is to realize that this is not your problem and pass it on to someone else whose responsibility it really is. Step 4. Once you have identified several possible solutions, ask, what must this solution accomplish? The only way you can judge the attractiveness of a solution is to determine in advance what you want the solution to accomplish. You've heard it said that the operation was a success, but the patient died. It's very common for us to initiate a solution and implement it, but the problem is not only not solved, but it is worse than it was before we took action in the first place. Be sure that the solution you select will accomplish the purpose you had in mind when you started on the problem-solving exercise in the first place. Step 5. Once you have decided on the ideal solution, assign specific responsibility, or take responsibility yourself for implementing the solution. Set a deadline for implementation. Set a measure by which you can determine if the solution has been effective. A problem-solving discussion that does not lead to an agreement on a specific solution, accompanied by the assignment of personal responsibility and a deadline, is a problem that will come back over and over again without resolution. Practice this systematic method of dealing with a problem over and over until it becomes a habit of thinking. You will be amazed at how much more effective you become and how much better your results will be using this method. One of the most powerful creative thinking ideas you can practice is called scenario planning. In scenario planning, you play down the chessboard of life and imagine what might happen sometime in the future. Even though the future is largely unknowable, certain trends taking place today will continue into the future. Certain events taking place around you will affect these trends, if not interrupt them in different ways. Completely unexpected events will arise that will require that you change your plans completely. In scenario planning, you ask yourself 2 questions. First, what are the 3 worst things that could possibly happen in the months or years ahead that would negatively affect my business or my personal life? Write them down. Be brutally honest with yourself. Refuse to wish or hope for the best. For example, imagine that your best customer went out of business or was unable to pay you for the products or services that you had sold to him. What would you do? How would you react? What steps could you take to guard against this eventuality? Next, ask yourself, what are the 3 best things that could possibly happen to me in the months and years ahead? With your answers to either of these questions, you can use mindstorming to prepare yourself for any eventuality. If it's a potential setback, ask yourself, how could we guard against this setback? Then, generate 20 answers to this question. If it's a possible opportunity, ask yourself, how could we increase the likelihood of this opportunity taking place? Or take advantage of this opportunity as it is today? Write out 20 answers to this question as well. Each time you ask yourself one of these questions, like an electric spark, you will trigger ideas and insights. The more you think about these key questions, the more you will activate your superconscious mind to give you insights and flashes of inspiration that will enable you to seize opportunities or avoid dangers. One of the most important parts of your personal philosophy should revolve around the development of options. The rule is, you are only as free as your well-developed alternatives. If your goal is to be happy, successful, and free, you must have choices. There must be more than one thing that you can do in every situation, and your job is to think about what that might be. Chapter 19. Do something every day. One of the most important success factors discovered over and over again is the quality of action orientation. Successful people are intensely action-oriented. They seem to move faster than unsuccessful people. They are busier. They try more things and they try harder. They start a little earlier and they stay a little later. They are in constant motion. Unsuccessful people, on the other hand, start at the last moment necessary and quit at the first moment possible. They are fastidious about taking every minute of coffee breaks, lunch hours, sick leave, and vacations. They sometimes brag, "When I'm not at work, I never even think about it." In his famous essay, Compensation, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote that you will always be compensated in life in direct proportion to the value of your contribution. If you want to increase the size of your rewards, you must increase the quality and quantity of your results. If you want to get more out, you have to put more in. And there is no other way. Napoleon Hill found that the key quality of successful men and women, most of whom started at the bottom, many of them penniless, was that early in life they developed the habit of going the extra mile. They discovered, as the old saying goes, that there are never any traffic jams on the extra mile. The retiring president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce many years ago told a story at his going-away dinner. He had become one of the most respected business people in America and overseas. He had developed the kind of reputation for high-quality work that every person in business dreams of having. He said that when he was a young man, unsuccessful and frustrated, he came across a saying written on a brown lunch bag and posted on a high school bulletin board. As he passed the bulletin board, something caused him to stop, and he read the words on the lunch bag. They said, "Your success in life will be in direct proportion to what you do after you do what you are expected to do." He told the audience that these words changed his life. Up to that time in his career, he felt that he was doing a good job because he was doing what he had been told to do, what he was expected to do. But from that point onward, he resolved that he would do far more than what was expected of him. He resolved that he would always go the extra mile and do more than he was paid for. From that day onward, for the rest of his career, he got up a little earlier, worked a little harder, and stayed a little later. He moved faster from task to task and from customer to customer. And here's what always happens. The faster he moved, the more experience he got. The more experience he got, the better he got at his job. The better he got, the better results he got in the same period of time. In no time at all, he was being paid more and promoted faster. By moving faster and always doing more than expected, he had shifted onto the fast track in his career and began moving ahead rapidly. He was soon promoted into a new department, then hired into a new industry, and given a new area of responsibility. In each case, he had one strategy: do more than you are paid for. Do more than others expect. Go the extra mile. Get busy. Get going. Take action. Don't waste time. And he never looked back. Mentally and physically, the faster you move, the more energy you have. The faster you move, the more positive you feel. The faster you move, the happier you are. The faster you move, the more enthusiastic and creative you become. The faster you move, the more you get done, the more you get paid, and the more successful you feel. Chapter 20. Persist until you succeed. Every great success in your life will represent a triumph of persistence. Your ability to decide what you want, to begin, and then to persist through all obstacles and difficulties until you achieve your goals is the critical determinant of your success. And the flip side of persistence is courage. Perhaps the greatest challenge you will ever face in life is the conquest of fear and the development of the habit of courage. Winston Churchill once wrote, "Courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend." Fear is and always has been the greatest enemy of mankind. When Franklin D. Roosevelt said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," he was saying that the emotion of fear, rather than the reality of what we fear, is what causes us anxiety, stress, and unhappiness. When you develop the habit of courage and unshakable self-confidence, a whole new world of possibilities opens up for you. Just think, what would you dare to dream, or be, or do, if you weren't afraid of anything in the whole world? The starting point in overcoming fear and developing courage is, first of all, to look at the factors that predispose us toward being afraid. As we know, the root source of fear is childhood conditioning, usually destructive criticism from one or both parents, that causes us to experience two types of fear. These are, first of all, the fear of failure, which causes us to think, I can't. And second, the fear of rejection, which causes us to think, I have to. Because of these fears, we become preoccupied with the fears of losing our money, or our time, or our emotional investment in a relationship. We become hypersensitive to the opinions and possible criticisms of others, sometimes to the point where we're afraid to do anything that anyone else might disapprove of. Our fears tend to paralyze us, holding us back from taking constructive action in the direction of our dreams and goals. We hesitate. We become indecisive. We procrastinate. We make excuses and find reasons to delay. And finally, we feel frustrated, caught in the double bind of, I have to, but I can't, or I can't, but I have to. Fear can be caused by ignorance. When we have limited information, we may be tense and insecure about the outcome of our actions. Ignorance causes us to fear change, to fear the unknown, and to avoid trying anything new or different. But the reverse is also true. The very act of gathering more information and experience in a particular area gives us more courage and confidence in that area. There are parts of your life where you have no fear at all because you have mastered that area, like driving a car, like skiing or selling and managing. Because of your knowledge and experience, you feel completely capable of handling whatever happens. You have no fears. Another factor that causes us fear is illness or fatigue. When we are tired or unwell, when we are not physically fit, we are more predisposed to fear and doubt than when we are feeling healthy and happy and energetic. Sometimes you can totally change your attitude towards yourself and your potential by getting a good night's sleep or taking a vacation long enough to completely recharge your mental and emotional batteries. Rest and relaxation build courage and confidence as much as any other factors. Here's an important point. All intelligent people are afraid of something. It is normal and natural to be concerned about your physical, emotional, and financial survival. The courageous person is not a person who is unafraid. As Mark Twain said, courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. It is not whether or not you are afraid. We are all afraid. The question is, how do you deal with the fear? The courageous person is simply one who goes forward in spite of the fear. And here is something else I have learned. When you confront your fears and move toward what you are afraid of, your fears diminish, while at the same time your self-esteem and self-confidence increases. However, when you avoid the thing you fear, your fears grow until they begin to control every aspect of your life. And as your fears increase, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your self-respect diminish accordingly. As the actor Glenn Ford once said, "If you do not do the thing you fear, the fear controls your life." Once we have recognized the factors that can cause fear, the next step in overcoming fear is to sit down and take the time to objectively identify, define, and analyze our own personal fears. At the top of a clean sheet of paper, write the question, what am I afraid of? Begin filling out your list of fears by writing down everything, major and minor, over which you experience any anxiety. Start with the most common fears, the fears of failure or loss, and the fears of rejection or criticism. Some people, dominated by the fear of failure, invest an enormous amount of energy justifying or covering up their mistakes. They cannot deal with the idea of making a mistake. Others, preoccupied by the fear of rejection, are so sensitive to how they appear to others that they seem to have no ability to take independent action at all. Until they are absolutely certain that someone else will approve, they refrain from doing anything. Once you've made a list of every fear that you think may be affecting your thinking and your behavior, organize the items in order of importance. Which fear do you feel has the greatest impact on your thinking or holds you back more than any other? Which fear would be number 2? What would be your third fear? And so on. With regard to your predominant fear, write the answers to these 3 questions. Number 1, how does this fear hold me back in life? Number 2, how does this fear help me? Or how has it helped me in the past? And number 3, what would be my payoff for eliminating this fear? Some years ago, I went through this exercise and concluded that my biggest fear was the fear of poverty. I was afraid of not having enough money, being broke, perhaps even being destitute. I knew that this fear had originated during my childhood because my parents, who grew up during the Depression, had continually worried about money. My fear was reinforced when I was broke at various times during my 20s. I could objectively assess the origins of this fear, but it still had a strong hold on me. Even when I had sufficient money for all my needs, this fear was always there. So my answer to the first question, how does this fear hold me back, was that it caused me to be anxious about taking risks with money. It caused me to play it safe with regard to employment, and it caused me to choose security over opportunity. My answer to the second question, how does this fear help me, was that in order to escape the fear of poverty, I had developed the habit of working much longer and harder than the average person. I was more ambitious and determined. I took much more time to study and learn about the various ways that money could be made and invested. The fear of poverty was, in effect, driving me toward financial independence. When I answered the third question, what would be my payoff for overcoming this fear, I immediately saw that I would be willing to take more risks, that I would be more aggressive in pursuing my financial goals. I could and would start my own business, and I would not be so tense and concerned about spending too much or having too little. Especially, I would no longer be so concerned about the price of everything. By objectively analyzing my biggest fear in this way, I was able to begin the process of eliminating it, and so can you. You can begin the process of developing courage and eliminating fear by engaging in actions consistent with the behaviors of courage and self-confidence. Anything that you practice over and over eventually becomes a new habit. You develop courage by behaving courageously whenever courage is called for. Here are some of the activities you can practice to develop the habit of courage. The first and most important kind of courage is the courage to begin, to launch, to step out in faith. This is the courage to try something new or different, to move out of your comfort zone with no guarantee of success. Dr. Robert Ronstadt of Babson College taught entrepreneurship for many years. He conducted a study of those who took his class and found that only 10% actually started their own businesses and became successful later in life. He could only find one quality that the successful graduates had in common. It was their willingness to actually start their own businesses as opposed to continually talking about it. He discovered the corridor principles that I spoke about earlier. As these individuals moved forward toward their goals, as though proceeding down a corridor, doors opened to them that they would not have seen if they had not been in forward motion. It turned out that the graduates of his entrepreneurship course who had done nothing with what they had learned were still waiting for things to be just right before they began. They were unwilling to launch themselves down the corridor of uncertainty until they could somehow be assured that they would be successful, something which never occurred. The future belongs to the risk-takers, not the security seekers. Life is perverse in the sense that the more you seek security, the less of it you have. But the more you seek opportunity, the more likely it is that you will achieve the security that you desire. Whenever you feel fear or anxiety, and you need to bolster your courage to persist in the face of obstacles and setbacks, switch your attention to your goals. Create a clear mental picture of the person that you would like to be, performing the way you would like to perform. There's nothing wrong with thoughts of fear as long as you temper them with thoughts of courage and self-reliance. Whatever you dwell upon grows, so be careful. The mastery of fear and the development of courage are essential prerequisites for a happy, successful life. With a commitment to acquire the habit of courage, you'll eventually reach the point where your fears no longer play a major role in your decision-making. You will set big, challenging, exciting goals, and you'll have the confidence of knowing that you can attain them. You will be able to face every situation with calmness and self-assurance. And the key is courage. What if you could sit down with one of the most successful men or women in our society and learn from him or her all the lessons that he or she had taken a lifetime to gather? Do you think that would help you to be more successful? What if you could sit down with 100 of the most successful men and women who ever lived and learn from their rules, their lessons, and their secrets of success? Would that help you to be more successful in your own life? What if you could sit down over time with more than 1,000 highly successful men and women? How about 2,000 or 3,000? Your answer is probably that spending time with these extremely successful men and women, learning what they learned in order to achieve their goals, would be of great help to you. The truth is, however, that all of this advice and input would do you no good at all unless you took some specific action on what you had learned. If learning about success was all that it took to do great things with your life, then your success would be guaranteed. The bookstores are full of self-help books, each one of them loaded with ideas that you can use to be more successful. The fact is, however, that all of the best advice in the world will only help you if you can motivate yourself to take persistent, continuous action in the direction of your goals until you succeed. The probable result of your reading the ideas in this book has been that you have made some specific decisions about things that you are going to do more of and things that you're going to do less of. You've set certain goals for yourself in different areas of your life, and you have made resolutions that you are determined to follow through on. The most important question for your future now is simply, will you do what you have resolved to do? The most important single quality for success is self-discipline. Self-discipline means that you have the ability within yourself, based on your strength of character and willpower, to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Character is the ability to follow through on a resolution after the enthusiasm with which the resolution was made has passed. It is not what you learn that is decisive for your future. It is whether or not you can put your head down and discipline yourself to pay the price over and over until you finally obtain your objective. You need self-discipline in order to set your goals and make plans for their accomplishment. You need self-discipline to continually revise and upgrade your plans with new information. You need self-discipline to use your time well and to always concentrate on the one thing, the most important thing that you need to do at the moment. You need self-discipline to invest in yourself every day, to build yourself up personally and professionally, to learn what you need to learn in order to enjoy the success of which you are capable. You need self-discipline to delay gratification, to save your money, and to organize your finances so that you can achieve financial independence in the course of your working lifetime. You need self-discipline to keep your thoughts on your goals and dreams, and to keep them off of your doubts and fears. You need self-discipline to respond positively and constructively in the face of every difficulty. Perhaps the most important demonstration of self-discipline is your level of persistence when the going gets tough. Persistence is self-discipline in action. Persistence is the true measure of individual human character. Your persistence is, in fact, your real measure of your belief in yourself and your ability to succeed. Each time that you persist in the face of adversity and disappointment, you build up the habit of persistence. You build pride, power, and self-esteem into your character and your personality. You become stronger and more resolute. You deepen your levels of self-discipline and personal strength. You develop in yourself the iron quality of success, the one quality that will carry you forward and over any obstacle that life can throw in your path. Successful people and entrepreneurs are all characterized by indomitable willpower and unshakable persistence. Here's a story for you. In 1895, America was in the grip of a terrible depression. A man living in the Midwest lost his hotel in the midst of this depression and decided to write a book to motivate and inspire others to persist and carry on in spite of the difficulties facing the nation. His name was Orison Swett Marden. He took a room above a livery stable, and for an entire year he worked night and day writing a book, which he entitled Pushing to the Front. Late one evening he finally finished the last page of his book, written by hand, and being tired and hungry, he went down the street to a small cafe for dinner. While he was gone for an hour, the livery stable caught on fire, and by the time he got back his entire manuscript, more than 800 pages, had been destroyed by the flames. Nonetheless, drawing on his inner resources, he sat down and spent another year writing the book over again from scratch. When the book was finished, he offered it to various publishers, but no one seemed to be interested in a motivational book with the country in such a depression and unemployment so high. He then moved to Chicago and took another job. One day he mentioned this manuscript to a friend of his who happened to know a publisher. The book, Pushing to the Front, was subsequently published and became the runaway bestseller in the nation. Pushing to the Front was acclaimed by the leading business people and politicians in America as being the book that brought America into the 20th century. It exerted an enormous impact on the minds of decision-makers throughout the country and became the greatest single classic in all of personal development. People like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, and J.P. Morgan all read this book and were inspired by it. Orison Swett Marden says in his book that there are two essential requirements for success. The first is get-to-itiveness, and the second is stick-to-itiveness. Just like Confucius said more than 4,000 years ago, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Elbert Hubbard wrote, There is no failure except in no longer trying. There is no defeat except from within, no really insurmountable barrier save our own inherent weakness of purpose. All of these successful men had learned how critical the quality of persistence is in achieving great goals and objectives. Successful men and women are hallmarked by their incredible persistence, by their refusal to quit, no matter what the external circumstances. The one quality that absolutely guarantees success in business, in financial accumulation, and in life is this indomitable willpower and the willingness to stick at it when everything in you wants to stop and rest or go back and do something else. Disappointments and adversity are normal and natural, unavoidable parts of life. No matter how well you organize yourself and your activities, you will experience countless disappointments, setbacks, obstacles, and adversity over the course of your life. And the higher and more challenging the goals you set for yourself, the more disappointment and adversity you will experience. This is the paradox. It is impossible for us to evolve and grow and develop to our full potentials except to the degree to which we face adversity and learn from it. All of the great lessons of life come as the result of setbacks and temporary defeats which we have done our utmost to avoid. Adversity therefore comes unbidden, in spite of our best efforts. And yet, without it, we cannot grow into the kind of people who are capable of scaling the heights and achieving great goals. Throughout history, great thinkers have reflected on this paradox and have concluded that adversity is the test that you must pass on the path to accomplishing anything worthwhile. Herodotus, the Greek philosopher, said, "Adversity has the effect of drawing out strength and qualities of a man that would have lain dormant in its absence." The very best qualities of strength, courage, character, and persistence are brought out in you when you face your greatest challenges and you respond to them positively and constructively. Everyone faces difficulties every step of the way. The difference between the high achiever and the low achiever is simply that the high achiever utilizes adversity and struggles for growth, while the low achiever allows difficulties and adversity to overwhelm him or her and leaves him or her discouraged and dejected. The work by Abraham Zalesnik at Harvard proved that the way you respond to disappointment is usually an accurate predictor of how likely you are to achieve great success. If you respond to disappointment by learning the very most from it, and then by putting it behind you and pressing forward, you are very likely to accomplish great things in the course of your life. There's another remarkable discovery. Your greatest success almost invariably comes one step beyond where everything inside of you says to quit. Men and women throughout history have been amazed to find that their great breakthroughs came about as a result of persisting in the face of all disappointment and all evidence to the contrary. This final act of persistence, which is often called the persistence test, seems to precede great achievements of all kinds. H. Ross Perot, who started EDP Industries with $1,000 and who built it into a fortune of almost $3 billion, is one of the most successful self-made entrepreneurs in American history. He said this, "Most people give up just when they are about to achieve success. They quit on the 1-yard line. They give up at the last minute of the game, 1 foot away from the winning touchdown." You find this principle of persistence, of keeping on, in the life and work of countless great men and women. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote that every great work, every big accomplishment, has been brought into manifestation through holding to the vision, and often, just before the big achievement comes, apparent failure and discouragement. What you do not see, what most people never suspect of existing, is the silent but irresistible power which comes to your rescue when you fight on in the face of discouragement. The power to hold on in spite of everything, to endure. This is the winner's quality. Conclusion. Take action today. You have now learned perhaps the most comprehensive strategy for setting and achieving goals that has ever been put together in one book. By practicing these rules and principles, you can accomplish more in the coming months and years than most people accomplish in a lifetime. The most important quality you can develop for a lifelong success is the habit of taking action on your plans, goals, ideas, and insights. The more often you try, the sooner you will triumph. There's a direct relationship between the number of things you attempt and your accomplishments in life. Your regular review